of October 2025, and that means one thing and one thing alone. Either you're listening to me or you're hungover. I hope you are actually listening to me. And I'm with City in the studio. City, a very good morning to you.
Morning, Paul.
Happy Mazingira Day.
Well, happy Mazingira Day to you, Paul.
Nikuulizaje, watu wanasemanga, Mazingira Day, it's what, second year? Since inception? It was formerly Moi Day, right? It was.
Oh, so bro.
It was formerly Moi Day.
Then I understand. October the 10th.
Yes. It was formerly Moi Day. And then 20th was Kenyatta Day, renamed to Mashujaa. But now 10th today was renamed by President Ruto Mazingira Day. And I think it happened last year. The India appeal to celebrate. But anyway, we're supposed to focus on Mazingira yetu. So that means, plant trees.
Environment.
Yes, basically just focus on your environment. Plant trees, take care of the animals around you, whether they are wild or your pets. Just make sure that mazingira yako yako sawa, uchafu umetoa. If your neighborhood is dirty, today is the day to, at the very least, one day a year.
You talk about the physical environment.
Right.
What about the spiritual environment?
Spiritual.
Yes.
That one we take care of every Sunday and Friday for Muslims, SDAs on Saturday.
My point exactly. Your spiritual environment cannot be taken care of one day in a week.
Okay.
When you live with yourself every single day.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Because Sunday you may go, Saturday or Friday. You just recharge.
Okay.
Recharge for what exactly? What do you do once you're recharged in the course of the week? What are these things that ensure that everything you've said, the physical environment, because it's you who determines what the physical environment is about. What is it that spiritual nourishment does for you so that you yourself, within yourself,
being Adam,
you are environmentally safe.
Okay.
You.
Okay.
Your spiritual environment is safe. Because when your spiritual environment is safe, then you will emanate that safety to everything else that you touch.
Well, I do a couple of things for sure. For example, this is just me as Paul Mungalambuvi. I pray as often as I can and as often as I can remember. I'm not the kind of person who only prays that you do when you wake up, before you sleep, before you have your meal. No, me, nikikumbuka tu hivi maombi lazima yafanywe depending on also the circumstances and the thing that I want to pray for. Second thing I usually do, I'm a frequent reader of Bible verses, so I actually do that as Paul Mungalambuvi. I don't know what other people do. That's how I take care of my spiritual environment.
You see, that's an excellent response. I was asking the question in the third person and generically because that spiritual environment, when taken care of, is what will influence what you do.
Okay.
It'll create the ethos that makes it possible for you to achieve the things that you have set in motion.
True.
Inakuwaga hivyo. So hiyo ni muhimu.
Naona kuna jamaa anaitwa Abdisamad Loge, one of our reporters and producer. Abdisamad prays 5 times a day, as his faith requires him to. But also once in a while I'll see him holding something in his hand and pray and chant
the bead.
Dasbih, so people actually take care of the spiritual environment. Mtu mwenye sionanga akifanya kitu yote ni Openje. Si unajua Openje? Openje ndio sionanga akifanya chochote. Sijui kama yeye uomba, sijui kama yeye utoroka mbio, sijui kama yananga kanisa Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Monday, I have no idea.
Kwao kuna dini moja ilianzishwa na jamaa mmoja anaitwa Laja Masinde.
Legio Maria.
Dini ya Msambwa. So labda ni mshiriki.
So the guys who fight the devil 24/7. And it's a good thing to fight the devil.
Labda ni mshiriki wa dini. Wajua hiyo ni dini. Kwa sababu wajua kuna dini kuna dhehebu. Okay. Dhehebu ni denomination. Sasa ikiwa ni mshiriki wa dini.
Right, so today is 10th of October 2025, Mazingira Day. I hope wherever you are going to observe this day and observe it diligently. Sasa ni muhimu tena sana. We shall be telling you a few things about Mazingira Day going forward, depending on also what we see in the papers, what we see online, and everywhere else. But today also is Friday, the last day of the week. Well, not the last day of the week. Actually, when is the last day of the week?
Depends on what calendar you subscribe to. The first day of the week is actually Sunday.
Yes, I remember being taught that in school, yes.
If you use the calendar that most Christians use, because your seventh day, the so-called Sabbath, ends on Saturday. So Sunday is actually the first day of the week.
Yes.
But we treat Monday as the first day of the week because we've chosen that when it gets to Friday, Saturday and Sunday are days when we do what?
We rest. We piga sherehe. Wewe utapiga sherehe? Unapiganga sherehe lakini city?
Sherehe as in what way? Explain what you mean.
Like okay, kupiga sherehe sitini, like you engage yourself throughout the night till morning. Hiyo ndio kupiga sherehe Kenyan version. So upiga sherehe?
Once in a while, yes.
Okay. Na sisemi kesha.
I understand what you mean. Do I go to a place,
listen to music, loud music?
Loud enough. Yes, from time to time. Yes.
And DJ Abstract is like, kamikono juu hewa, wapi nduru wewe? Well, not necessarily DJ Abstract.
I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. Where there's music, danceable music, once in a while, yes.
Okay, good stuff. Good for you, bro. All right, so leo kuna methali, na hiyo methali inatupeleka wapi ama inatutoa wapi, inatuambia nini?
What I told you about today, moving forward.
Yes.
We're going to look at proverbs from Africa. Okay?
Right.
Now, Monday, when we begin Monday, what I will do, I will be telling you specifically which countries we're going to be looking at. You'll know in advance.
Okay.
From this country, we move through this country.
Yes.
Today we are in the country of Mozambique. All right? We'll be in the region of Southern Africa, the SADC nation, not the whole of next week. For a while to come.
Wait, you said South Ignatian?
No, SADC nations.
Oh, SADC nations. Oh, I had South Ignatius. Allah? Yes, okay, SADC nations.
All right. On a dead tree, there are no monkeys.
On a dead tree, there are no monkeys. Because it doesn't have fruits.
Good.
It doesn't have leaves where they can chew on.
Good. Doesn't have insects.
Exactly.
All the nutritious things that monkeys like to eat, you will not find on a dead tree.
Right.
Yes.
So that means where there's nothing, it will attract people.
When there's nothing that people feel they can benefit from, they'll move away. And that refers to you as well. They are friends of your job.
Yes.
The day you don't have the job,
right,
whatever that job is, you'll find that suddenly there's a thinning of those who call themselves friends or those who look for you.
True story.
Yes. And if you're in this line of work that we are in, even more so.
I know that all too well.
Yes. When you then go back into the grid,
suddenly
the grind,
your phones start ringing.
My friend, the phone rings itself off the hook. Yes.
I know the feeling.
Right.
Been there. I've been there.
Good. Then you truly are an honest member of the media.
So a dead tree doesn't attract monkeys.
There are no monkeys on that tree.
All right. I love that one. Yeah.
On a dead tree, there are no monkeys.
I love that one, and it actually applies to every area of life also. And to every person rather, in every aspect, in every area of life. Whether you're, an engineer, whether you're a president, politician, whatever it is that you are. Ile siku utaacha kukua hiyo kitu ndio utarealize by the way ulikuanga wa maana ama ulikuwa na umuhimu fulani ukiwa kwa hiyo nafasi ambayo ulikuwa nayo. Good stuff.
Very true indeed.
All right. rgk.co.ke. It is 9 minutes past 6 o'clock. Are you tuned in? I would like to know where you're tuned in from. Your city and I can know whether we are talking to ourselves for the next 4 hours or you are actually with us. Let us know where you're celebrating Mazingira Day. You can also let us know what you did yesterday. For instance, when I was actually driving to work this morning, City, there's a certain establishment on my way to work. Bwana ile place imejaa. I was at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what are people still doing here?
See, there's a place I buy newspapers.
Yes.
And I was wondering, this place is normally very quiet. Why are there so many people here?
Right.
Very many.
On a Friday morning.
Yes, and many of them are young. They realize, today's a public holiday.
Exactly.
So the Friday began yesterday.
Yes.
I said, so I understand.
Yes.
But it's an interesting culture that I'm observing. Places, like for instance, a place in Westlands called, here I'm going to give some people some free advertising. But nonetheless, since it is Mazingira Day, let's talk about the environment. It is called Art Cafe.
Art Cafe.
Market in Westlands. Fridays.
Yes.
God, it is packed
to the brim.
Young people buying coffee, sitting, hanging out. It's full. The parking lot is full.
Yeah.
When you pass by Hurlingham, there's a Total petrol station there. Full.
Yeah.
So you find that people find an environment in which they jivinjari, as you said. Because those establishments are known for selling coffee.
Yeah.
And tea. And muffins. And cakes.
Yes. Good stuff. Like I said, nimepata watu wamejazana kwa hiyo establishment nilikuwa nakwambia, na nimejiuliza leo ni Friday, watu walianza jana Thursday.
Bwana.
So yesterday was Friday, today is Friday, and guess what? Even tomorrow is Friday.
It's going to be a long Friday.
It's going to be a long one. All right, to our colleagues who decided today they won't come to work, may God bless you. Na sisi ujue tu siku yetu itafika. Siku yangu na siti itafika, au sio City?
Yeah, ni kabisa.
Eunice Okello, a very good morning to you, saying happy Moi Day. Well, Eunice Okello, happy Moi Day to you too. And also to Tupapo Mazingira Day. Nyaga Junior, Mbuvi, your name always reminds me of my Kamba High School desk mate. He used to say that beauty is in the eyes of the beyonder.
Anakuwa naongea kwao, sio?
Alikuwa na kitu inaitwa DNA influence.
DNA.
Sometimes the DNA kicks in.
Yes.
Greetings from Berlin. Thank you very much, Nyaga Guten Morgen. I don't know what time it is in Germany, but thank you very much for giving us a shout out. Okay, for the rest of you, we need to know. Hizo ni salamu mbili pekee nimesoma. Nataka kujua nani mwingine ako tuned in, tuweze kukusalimia pia, tuweze kujua uko wapi, unfanyani, na kama unajivinjari, kama Friday yako imeanza kama yetu, pia tueleze kama uko kazini, uko ofisini, uko wapi, kwenye matatu, tungependa kujua ili tuweze kukupatia shout out. Right now though, let's check out what's happening on rgk.co.ke. A 7.4 magnitude tremor strikes southern Philippines. Tsunami warnings have been issued. Thanks to one Tanya Anjiko, this story has been published a couple of minutes ago. A strong earthquake jolted the southern Philippines on Friday, prompting authorities to issue a tsunami warning for coastal areas. The 7.4 magnitude quake struck the Mindanao region, and officials warned that aftershocks and damage were likely in the affected areas. According to the European Mediterranean Seismological Center, the earthquake occurred at a depth of 62 kilometers near the town of Manay, about 20 km from the epicenter. Now, the agency had initially reported the magnitude as 7.2 before revising it to 7.4. Bwana nasemanga, thank God sisi tunanga hizi shida, because number one, our emergency responses, I usually find them very wanting. For example, every time we have a fire, it sometimes takes a bit, a tad too long before the folks that are supposed to put out that fire arrive, for ambulances to get to where they are, where the shida iko. And then to make matters worse, Wakenya wenzetu, they don't even make things easier. Blocking the road, rushing to the place where the disaster is, and sometimes even blocking emergency services from getting there. So hizi ni shida zingine sisi taka tupate.
By the way, when you speak of it, just around again the same Hurlingham area,
right?
There's a road that I follow, I think it's called Rose Avenue. There's a building there at the corner. That building, I think, has a club.
Okay.
And on, say, Fridays, Wednesdays and Fridays, you see people just milling around there. Today, these small vehicles that provide
taxi services,
block the road. They're full, in one direction. We couldn't pass.
Right.
I had to go right round to near Yaya to come down to this place.
And you see now that's an inconvenience.
No, that is just about the most inconsiderate thing you can do. 1, 2, 3, 4. They all face the same direction. I'm thinking, what is the matter with these people?
Wanangoja customer.
So you block everybody else who's supposed to be passing on that road.
Yeah, that's wrong. That's wrong. And you see, that's what we also do during disasters. I saw this with, the only time I saw people staying away from a disaster area is when we had the attacks at Westgate and Dusit.
Oh, that and people take off.
Hiyo walikuwa wanajua unaweza karibia bullet ukupate.
Because the bullet doesn't know you. Then you.
Yeah.
Most times something happens, people move towards it. Shangan 1, there is a place in the Rift Valley that has had 3 incidences of a similar nature.
Sachangwan.
Yes. A tanker does a thing and people go there to what?
To collect the fuel.
A thing blows up. Not once, not twice.
Several times.
So you wonder, they have not learned this. Then you realize, no, there's something else we should be looking at here, so that they haven't learned. What is this force that is stronger than their own lives that is pushing them there?
I'd like to say the fact that they are poor, they are broke, they would like to get that.
Yes. So the poverty levels there are phenomenal.
The poverty is a stronger force than...
It is much. That oil, that danger, if you move the danger aside for a moment, represents something that they consider is worth taking the risk for. So the risk is shunted aside.
So I'd like to know, when they collect this fuel, wanaipelekanga wapi?
First of all, do they even know what they're collecting? Do they know they're collecting?
I mean, if you see a tanker, imeandikwa vizuri sana. Petroleum. Imeanguka. Si unajua hiyo ni petroli.
Number one,
even for an illiterate person.
What they don't understand, that tank is subdivided. It is not a homogeneous tank where everything in that tank is the same has
content.
No, it's not.
It has super petrol, it has diesel, and then it has now the kerosene.
Yes. And when that thing falls and you're seeing it leaking, do you know what it is that you're picking up? But immediately after an incident of that nature has occurred, you will find there are people on the roadside selling fuel. And people buy the fuel. That's why they sell it.
You know, and this is now a question I'm going to ask myself. If I were driving down Mombasa Road, for example, and then I see someone selling petrol in a mtungi, 20 liter mtungi, na niambie niaje chukua hii mtungi na 2,000, I'm asking myself if I'd actually buy that fuel.
Well, me and I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't even bother. It had nothing to do with me. I'd just continue.
Because you know, about when you buy 2,000, when you fuel mafuta ya 2,000, it comes to around, is it 11 liters? I think it's about 11 liters. So here's someone giving you a whole 20 liters for 2,000 bob.
You see, that's the point. You are allowing yourself to think of the so-called benefits. Okay, let's balance it against
I'm trying to think like the common Kenyan.
Oh yes, I'm understanding you perfectly.
Yes.
I'm now saying, let's run interference with that thinking and ask, what are the things you do not know about that fuel? You know the term adulterated fuel?
Yes, I do.
All right. Now, how do you know fuel is adulterated? You will know when you put it in your car and your car starts coughing out all manner of things.
Or it breaks down.
Something like green smoke. Then you know, for instance, something is quite wrong with this thing. Or red smoke for that matter. Okay? But the bigger picture and the bigger story is what it is that we have done with the guiding principles or the ethos that we have as Kenyans. Okay? We seem to think that shortcut taking is a virtue.
Oh, a virtue.
Well, yes. You have places where people actually sell fuel.
Yeah.
And you have a guarantee.
Yeah.
Someone with a jerry can in the middle of nowhere selling me fuel. Am I mad? I mean, am I totally deluded?
Unajua kuna places zingine city, sijui kama umeenda.
So if you're going the corner, you didn't know your movie. Do you find yourself in some remote place because what the remote place came to you?
Ngoja kidogo city. What I'm asking is, there's a place you will go. Yuko mushadha uko ndani, ushago ndani, you know, interior, shags. Then someone tells you, look, here's 20 liters. Ara nipatie 1,500. And kwanza nakwambia shika plus na mtungi yote enda nayo. Wewe nipatie tu 1,500. City unakai unasema, okay fine, gari yangu iko na mafuta, but hii mafuta itaisha eventually and I'll need to refuel this car.
And you don't find that thinking faulty?
Well, I'm not saying that I will buy. I'm just saying.
We are discussing, this is an academic discussion.
Yes.
We are discussing a certain principle, a certain thought process, an idea.
Right.
Yes, this has nothing to do with what you, Paul Mungala Nguvi, does. No.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is there's a Kenyan I know won't even think twice.
There are many Kenyans, many, not there are many. And I'm saying, let's examine this thought process.
Right.
And look at how it is. You see, what struck me when the road was blocked?
Yep.
I was telling my Uber guy, you know, it is not the blockage that bothers me. It's the thinking that leads to this.
To the blockage.
I said, every time you hear me talking of impunity, this is it.
Yeah.
It's a public road.
And someone doesn't give a care in the world.
No. There are vehicles that go in one direction, others come in the opposite direction. They've blocked it. You can't go forward. Those who are coming from the other side can't pass. And it's not one vehicle.
It's several.
1, 2, 3, 4. So I think, and they consider this normal.
And you know the funny thing is, if you actually sit down with this person who explain to me, he'll actually give you a very logical explanation that makes sense to him, of course, and perhaps it might make sense to you, but he will explain things back okay, all right.
Actually, I will not, because it's a simple thing. Either this person is driving a vehicle and never went to a driving school so that he understands traffic rules and laws. We drive on the left, not in the middle of the road. Okay? And when we are going in a certain direction, we then don't just drive on the right, because on the right side, there's a vehicle coming which is driving on the left.
Right.
Simple rule. Then there's the courtesy, because you're blocking the road. Even people who want to walk on the road can't. You've blocked the road. Okay? Now, you're oblivious to the fact that the other people who use the road who walk, the other people are coming from the opposite direction. Your concern is, as you say, the possible client who might want to use your Uber. And you want to be at advantage, because they're all parked at the gate of that establishment.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, impunity is entrenched in such a way. You do that often enough, it then becomes normal. After a while. I was having this discussion again with another Uber driver, and they're asking me if I've gone to River Road of late. I said,
no.
I said, no, I haven't. I said, when the last time you went there? I said, maybe over 10 years ago. I said, CBD? I said, maybe a year passes by or two before I go to CBD. So I asked him, why do you ask? He said, we were talking about somebody who was driving on the wrong side of the road. He said, if you go to River Road, motorbikes constantly and regularly drive on the opposite side of the road, meaning you are driving, they are coming towards you. And they should not be coming towards you. And it is considered normal. Now, if that is how we go about our business, we have absolutely no standing or wiggling room to even point a finger at anybody else who's doing wrong, because we are steeped in it. It's what we do. Now, this is this is the manifestation of how wrong has now been entrenched. Yeah, but can't you see I'm coming? I say, you're on the opposite of the road. What do you mean? I must say this about people who ride motorbikes and for business. Some of the rudest people you've ever come across, they represent just about the worst qualities that you can actually think of a Kenyan. Someone is the wrong side of the road and they're insulting you. They are on the wrong side of the road. They cut in front of you and then they stop and ask you, and you're thinking, bro, the lights was green on my side, which means on your side was right. What are you doing? What business you're cutting in front of me? Woe betide you should one of them hit your vehicle. Suddenly, 10 of them. Suddenly.
Yeah. And then in a few minutes, they are over 40.
Yes. And now they've blocked the road completely. These people represent impunity in 3D. They think they can do exactly what they want and they can behave exactly how they want, and we are allowing them to do so. The unfortunate thing, the vast majority of these people are younger citizens of the country.
Tabidi IG amecheza kama yeye.
Yeah, the story IG. Funga tu hiyo kitu. Okay? And then start all over again. Say, okay, there's this business that it's called ABCD. These are the things we are going to do. Okay?
And then we do them.
And then we do them, and then we continue that business.
DCI cleared to exhume bodies in Lake Nakuru Park in hunt for Brian Odhiambo. Okay. The Directorate of Criminal Investigations has been granted court approval to exhume bodies in Lake Nakuru National Park as part of the ongoing investigation into the disappearance of fisherman Brian Odhiambo, who went missing in January after allegedly being taken by Kenya Wildlife Service officers. The Nakuru Chief Magistrate's Court authorized the DCI homicide unit to carry out the operation following intelligence indicating that Odhiambo may have been buried secretly within the park. The court ruling empowers investigators to perform a detailed search and collection of evidence. Odhiambo disappeared on January 18th, 2025 after heading out to fish at Lake Nakuru. Witnesses report that he was last seen in KWS custody. In May 2025, 6 KWS rangers were charged with abduction and intent to confine. So far, 13 witnesses have given testimony, and the final prosecution witness, an investigating officer, is expected to testify on November 10th. The family has raised concerns over what they described as slow implementation of the court order. History of Odhiambo imekawia, but I hope this will now lead to some kind of closure for sure, but also e case is equally clear, because man, it's been one hell of a ride for the family. Kenya Air Force calls for action as encroachment threatens Eastleigh base. Watu ambao wanapenda kutumia barabara ya pale Juja Road kielekea pande za Eastleigh. You've probably seen this, let's see. The Kenya Air Force has raised urgent concerns over the steady spread of illegal buildings near Moi Air Base in Eastleigh, warning that the encroachments could undermine both security and operational readiness. Officials say the unplanned structures not only endanger military operations but could also obstruct emergency response and evacuation procedures. During a briefing on Thursday with the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations, Embakasi Base Commander Brigadier Kapkori explained that the continued rise in unauthorized developments has made the situation increasingly critical. How did we get here? To be honest, how did we get here? By the time the first structure was being put up, a second one...
You've actually asked a question that relates to the subject of impunity that we started looking at with regards to those taxis that have blocked the road. Land use and the planning for it has been at the center of very many discussions. And the thing that manifests that discussion and the manner in which you've treated it has to do with, say, public spaces. You will find that very many public spaces in this city, let's start with the city because we live here, have been taken by would-be wannabe developers. Sites that were designated for markets, school compounds, churches. Over time, people have allocated those things to themselves and have put up commercial buildings. So the city of Nairobi appears to be one endless commercial building sites, or residential for that matter. And there are building codes and building laws that exist within this nation. And these things that are supposed to represent development seem to be at crosshairs with some of these regulations that we have. So I'm answering your question. When you find, remember Eastleigh Air Base, it's an air base because there are planes that fly there. There are rules and regulations regarding a place where aeroplanes fly to. And even when you're putting up buildings, there are codes that limit the height of buildings around those areas, whether it is Wilson Airport, whether it is Embakasi, whether it is JKIA, whether it is Eastleigh Air Base. Okay? So now, part of the complaint you will find has to do with the height of some of those buildings. Some of it has to do with land that was designated for other uses, but have now been changed for either commercial or residential uses. Okay? It is an absolute and a blatant way of disregarding the law. Okay? And it has been encouraged. It has been the bane of the existence of the citizens of this city, because City Hall is the one responsible for all these things that you're talking about. There's a planning department, the people who give authority for these things to happen. The people who work there have to answer.
But also the other person that, or other people that need to rather have answers for this particular situation is the army itself. In this way, in your neighborhood, this is now the army.
The army.
The Air Force.
The armed forces
is
everybody. That is now the Air Force.
All right. The Air Force. Waliona kwa vicinity yao, kwa jirani pale kuna construction inafanyika. They should have gone and asked, hold on guys. This construction that you're doing, number one, has it been authorized? Okay, cool. What is the purpose of this building? Residential. Okay. Height inafaa kufika wapi? First floor, second floor, third floor. Okay, good. Now, it is either for or against our regulations, or for regulations of buildings that should be constructed around a security installation such as this one. Now you're getting inasimamishwa because by the time they were digging the foundation, where was the Air Force?
We are discussing a report. The report is telling us of what is happening now.
Right.
There's usually a history of what it is that they have done in terms of lodging complaints. By the time it is getting to the media, that thing has been there for a long time.
This is how the story has been written. Who's written this story? Tanya Wanjiko ameandika hivi. The Kenya Air Force has raised urgent concerns over the steady spread of illegal buildings near Moi Air Base in Isili, Nairobi.
It is not the first time they've
warning
issues.
Yes, warning that the encroachment could undermine both security and operational readiness. Kumaanisha there was a first building and a second building and a third one and a fourth one and perhaps even there's a fifth one. I do not know the number of buildings we're complaining about here. So by the time this was happening, surely ya kwanza ikifanyika, ya pili, na zote zilikuwa na foundations zinachimbwa. Si ati mlishtukia tu mkono ala asubuhi mliamka mkapata kuna building pale. So yes, as we blame the county council of Nairobi for issuing permits to these particular buildings, as we also blame the owners of these buildings, because I'm sure they knew. You know for a fact you're not supposed to construct. Even the architects that were drawing up those buildings, the contractor who was building that building, anajua. Because these are people who have actually studied this. I hope they have studied this. They knew for a fact, hii kitu tunajenga hapa hivi, hatufai kuwa tunajenga hapa hivi, lakini bado wakajenga. So as we blame the contractor, the owners of the building, the county council of Nairobi, hata Kenya Air Force hapo hivyo kidogo mlikuwa mmelala mkiwa.
No, they haven't actually.
Walifanya nini city?
You know, if you talk to people in this industry, what you
which industry?
We're talking about the building industry.
Okay. I was just confirming.
You will know that there are certain things you cannot even get approval of unless you have gotten the okay from certain security agencies. Now, what you're talking about, or what is being written about there, is not that buildings just have come up, but they are buildings that go against what was agreed on. That's why it's becoming an issue. It's not that they are against the buildings. You build, yes, but for us to maintain the security that we're supposed to maintain and to do our work, there are certain requirements. And they have to be consulted. They have to be
consulted.
Yes. They have to give the okay. It's a security installation, for heaven's sake. Yes. So, I mean, what security would you have if you're surrounded by buildings that are 20 stories and you're supposed to be an airbase? How will you even fly out your planes? Yes.
So are we saying that they had agreed with the Kenya Air Force, for example, wacha ifike second floor?
They know.
Sindio?
And somebody has gone and done something which was not agreed upon.
So they agreed ifike, and this is an example because I don't know the height, but let's assume second floor. Then someone decided, kwendeni bwana, hii itafika 10th floor, mpende msipende.
No, they say yes, then they proceed to do what they want. We've heard of buildings collapsing, and when you ask, you're told, according to what we have, this building was supposed to be 5-storied. Which means the foundation it had was for 5 stories. So this fellow, when upon inspection we find that yes, indeed this person has built a foundation that is based on what we've documented.
Yeah.
Then the building collapsed on the 8th floor.
Because the foundation couldn't hold.
Yes. It means that fellow all along had no intentions of just building. Because if you ask for a permit to build an 8-storied house, it'll cost you more.
Yeah.
More will be required of you. Yes. But you say 5, then on the 7th floor, the thing starts coming down.
Right.
And it's very easy to determine that this thing started collapsing on the 7th floor. Yes. I'm simply saying that security forces or security agencies who are the owners of the security installations take their work seriously. Yes. So by the time you hear of it coming to the fore, somebody has gone against what was understood to be the reality that should be on the ground.
So in such cases, what happens now? The buildings are brought down or what?
They should.
Or the top floors, zenye hazifai kuwa na watu, you unoccupy them.
Just bring the whole thing down. Just bring it down.
Aya. Wacha tuangalie trafiki katika barabara zetu za Nairobi inakaa namna gani. Traffic. So, I'm looking at Ngong Road right now. And it looks the same as yesterday. Guys, where are you going? I thought today is a work-free day. Like you're not supposed to go to work or something.
And what are we doing here?
What am I No, us we're supposed to be at work. But I'm talking about
what you call essential services.
Yeah, this is not essential services. Like it's how wengine. For example, why do we have traffic at Ring Road, Kilimani as you're joining Gong Road?
People are going home.
Oh, from those places we were talking about.
From the establishments.
Akuna, there is no way those vehicles will cause traffic, city, because the traffic looks it looks the same as yesterday, or as any other day rather.
It's a holiday. Why don't we take time to understand traffic on Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays, and in our own time, and then we can come and have a discussion about the traffic.
Unless my map is lying to me.
Your map is not lying.
Yeah.
Or it is hanging from yesterday.
Maybe gonna hangover kutoka jana. All right. So, but the rest of the roads are looking good. Mombasa Road, Langata Road, Mnakatu sawa. Then there's another problem. Outer Ring Road. Watu mnenda wapi asubuhi ya leo? Naona pale kutoka Tasia as you're heading towards Feather, a little bit of traffic there, but after that, after the Feather Mosque, things are looking good for you. Airport North Road looking good at this particular minute. The rest of the roads of Nairobi looking good, hakuna shida yoyote, lakini mkiona kitu mnaona nafaa kujua, tafadhali mweza kutuambia katika mitandao yetu at Radio Gen K across Twitter, alafu pale Facebook ni Radio Generation Kenya. Waweza pata pia YouTube uweze kutuambia kwamba umeona trafiki na kaa hivi na vile, alafu tutaweza kuambia Wakenya wenzako ama Wakenya wenzetu. Traffic on Radio Generation. Salamu zimfikie Michael Olande. Siti nani amekukasirisha? Aya, as you calm down. Michael Olande, a very good morning to you. Amesema nini? Michael Olande is in Ugenya. Not 1000 Hills today. Okay, Michael Olande, welcome back home. Kennedy Ongwae, good morning guys, tuned in and watching from Nairobi. Thank you bro. Alafu kuna jamaa anajiita tu R. Ameuliza mpo? Of course R, tupo. Kennedy Ongwae, good morning. You're saying it's all about impunity. Sakaja and the high and mighty of the land are reaping massively from the buildings. Okay. All right. I think this is in response to the whole building situation we are talking about.
That is what I was clicking my tongue about. Because this government of Sakaja has removed height restrictions that have been set by the bylaws that are required to regulate buildings, and it's part of the reason. And it isn't as though the regulations are not there. They're being ignored.
Right.
In fact, the president of our country, President William Ruto, has actually spoken about this.
Yes.
Okay? You see, there has to be a buffer zone between what you call civilian installations and military installations. Remember, landing, taking off, all these things have to be taken care of, and it's part of the planning. Now, it is for defense purposes and for safety purposes.
Yeah.
Something goes wrong with the plane, and they're all being, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to land on those buildings.
Right.
It's not, it's a no-brainer. But this particular government of Johnson Sakaja's has been blamed for ignoring and blatantly just creating not just a problem, but monumental problems when it comes to the building industry.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Kennedy Ongwae amesema it's all about impunity. Sakaja and the high and mighty of the land are reaping massively from the buildings.
Well, it raises the question, who does Sakaja answer to? Sakaja is supposed to answer to the electorate. Does he answer to the electorate? No, he's not. He doesn't.
Okay. Ambassador Zia Beja amesema greetings from Paddington, London, United Kingdom.
Asante.
Asante sana ambassador. Tinisema kwamba tumeshukuru. Then there's Kivdev Lubalak. Let me just Lubale. Okay, it's Lubale actually. Lubale KE. So King David Lubale, thank you very much. You're saying CT, long time my teacher.
Karibu sana. And thank you for the greetings.
Mwanafunzi wako tune in mapema leo na kwambia.
Nashukuru sana bwana.
All right. Wewe ndio kuna gazeti CT. Magazeti yanasema vipi?
Bro, niko na gazeti hata wewe shika moja.
Nishike moja
Hata hiyo lakini ni ya jana.
Hii ni ya jana.
Lakini utakuta habari bado iko
bado ni fresh.
Ni fresh bwana.
Fresh barida.
Barida kabisa.
So this is the Business Daily. Business Daily unasema World Bank pushes for higher VAT excise duty. Multilateral lender proposes tax hikes to clear pending bills. Treasury has avoided new taxes on protest fears. So World Bank pushes. Unakumbuka ukiniambia that watu wanatakanga hizi mashida. Wataka kutusukumia hizi noma.
Watu.
Yes.
There's some thinking there that is completely faulty. Absolutely irrevocably faulty.
So the multilateral lender, that is World Bank, proposes tax hikes to clear pending bills. Now the president, this government of Kenya, that is the Kenya Kwanza government, is literally running away from tax hikes. In the last financial bill, CS Mbadi said, you see guys, after he presented it was like the crowning moment. Have you seen guys, we did not put any new taxes, we have not added, hatujaongeza, hatujapandisha. Mumeona hakuna maandamano, we're good. Then now here is the World Bank telling them, guys, come here. You know you have to raise those taxes, Then Mbadi is like, bruh, we can't
raise those taxes. You don't live here. As we do.
It's like, did you see what happened last year? Hey, we do not want a repeat of that.
We are not touching these things.
We'll even give you our own blood. Tax, we are not raising those things. So I wonder how this is gonna pan out.
Read a paragraph or two. So that
please, let me do. Yes. So this is by one Kefa Muiruri. And I said, if the World Bank has asked Kenya to consider additional consumption taxes like excise duty and value-added tax to clear mounting supplier arrears in what could spark fresh social unrest if adopted. The multilateral lender wants high consumption taxes to clear pending bills, which rose to 526 billion shillings in June from 421.6 billion in March, triggering business closures, layoffs, and non-performing loans. The World Bank did not specify if it is pushing for an increase in excise duty and VAT on specific goods, or whether it wants the Treasury to increase the range of products that attract the two taxes.
If the reporting is accurate, then he's reporting some really lazy thinking by these lenders. Because if you look at page 33 of that particular paper, there's a completely different story. 33 is at the end. Just start from the back. Then start turning the pages. You'll get to 33 very quickly.
The last page, yes, it is 24.
Yes, now turn again. No, inside. Bro, start from the back. Turn the page.
All right.
Page 33. It's the next page. Right. There is a story there that relates to what Kenya has done with regards to how it is restructuring its debts and how it is that we have reduced what we call actually, I am making fun of you for nothing. The story is actually here.
Kidogo unanifanya ni feel ni kama mimi ni fallacy.
No, that's the whole point.
I apologize.
I apologize profusely. Look at page 33 of the markets.
All right.
Give me the business daily.
Yeah.
Okay? If you look at the story on page 33 of that particular newspaper, what has happened is that the debts that we had and the interest that was being charged on some of the loans that we had were double digits.
Right.
The story talks about how, because of the liability management strategy that Kenya has actually applied, they have brought down those debts or the interest rate to single digits. What therefore that means is that when we've issued Eurobonds, people are now willing, A, to give us favorable terms, and the interest that they require for holding it, they're requiring less. A reduction in 2%, 1%, point something. It is significant when you look at the amount. What it also means is that Kenya has proven that they can be trusted to be lent money, so it gives us flexibility. For instance, the next huge amount that we are actually required to pay is in 2028. Okay? 1 billion, which you have to pay at once. Pop! Okay? It's 129 billion Kenyan shillings.
Okay.
But that flexibility means there's something that the Treasury has done, the Ministry of Finance has done, that is actually beginning to work. Because there are two things that this strategy seeks to do. It seeks to introduce something called switches, and something called buybacks. You've heard, it was reported. As usual, those who are charged with communicating this don't explain to citizens what you mean by a buyback. When we issue a Eurobond, it's a bond, it's a long-term security, it's a long-term paper. People give you money to hold that bond, and there's an interest you pay. When you buy it back, we tell them, guys, that thing that we gave you, can we negotiate? We'll pay you so that we take it back, so we no longer owe you. But it also means that those who lend us money are now feel they can lend us more money. So the moment you are trusted, the market can now allow you to borrow more. And that's what you find our people doing right now.
Right.
Okay. So when you read the article that is in the Business Daily regarding what the World Bank is saying, IMF actually in the country right now, and they are talking a completely different language from the World Bank.
Yeah.
They're saying these strategies of yours seem to be working. And Moody is a rating institution.
Yes, yes.
The ones who say this guy is apana patia hapa hii kushida.
Wanasema sasa hawa wako fiti.
Wanasema hawa jamaa si wabaya. Yes.
Wako safi kama pamba.
But that is exactly what he's saying. He's saying these guys wako sawa, it is okay. They're safe to lend. But that puts us in a very, very good position because the debts that came due at the time this government came in, the huge amounts we talk about, those huge amounts that they were paying, has shown, and the consistency of it, that these fellows actually are able to meet their financial obligations. And it is actually good for the country.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's see how that pans out. Because what has been said on that Business Daily by the World Bank, I don't think the government
But you know my views on that particular subject. The World Bank is simply stressing, if we were to go by the article in the Business Daily, how it is we must introduce austerity measures. Nonsense. Nonsense. The austerity measures reduces the liquidity in the country. You need to increase it. When you increase it, it means more people have money. When more people have money, they buy more. Just by buying alone, and because of the indirect taxes that are on all the goods and services that we have, the government collects more. It is that simple. So what you actually end up doing is making sure that KRA has more money, not less.
Yeah.
When you tax, you reduce the money we have. The moment we have less money, we buy less.
Then why would these folks, the World Bank, then come and give us this kind of, and I'm calling them stresses because that's exactly what they are. Why would they come and tell us banongezeni stress kawa Kenya?
Because they are saying that part of the reason why we are where we are because we are indisciplined.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You don't say.
I am saying.
We are indisciplined.
Yes, our financial discipline is one thing. So they are introducing financial discipline. That's part of the conversation. But the story I'm telling you that is in the East African is saying something quite different. It's saying we are being told that you actually have proven that you have serious financial discipline. And it's the discipline that is turning around what was there originally. Remember there was some were teetering on actually collapsing and failing. And they say, no.
Yes.
You aren't out of the woods yet, but you're not where you were before.
Right.
Yes. Now that can only happen if you are disciplined.
Hey. Kidogo mimi si. Why would they? Anyway, like you said, they are not here with us. They don't understand. However, there are people who work there that are actually citizens of this particular country. Yes. And
people like
of other countries.
Our current governor of the central bank worked for them at some point.
Exactly.
And there are many people in treasury who have worked for them at some point.
So when they come up with these policies or when they come up with this kinds of advice, what's not happening?
My understanding of the things that they do, beginning with the structural adjustment programs that began in the 90s in the Moi government.
Yes.
Those things caused us more harm than good.
Yeah.
The gains that we had made up to that point were reversed significantly because of the suggestions that they made. No. The thinking about lending and the thinking about what is good for us comes from a high and mighty position where we are telling you what to do and you bloody better do it.
It is what it is.
Yes, meaning you've come to us, lender of last resort. If you want our money, these are the terms on which you're going to get the money. But you see, part of the conversation Kenya is having, even with the money that it has owed, for instance, China or the financial entities in China, part of the restructuring is so that the loans that we borrowed in US dollars can now actually be redominated to yuan. Okay?
Yes.
So whenever the dollar does its yo-yo, it doesn't affect us.
And
if we're borrowing from China in their currency, the likelihood of it being a stabler way of borrowing may actually favor us. So there is a lot of thinking that is taking place. You've heard me say time and again that these ministries that we have some of the most educated Kenyans we have, and they're really bright, and they know. This is an example of the people and the minds in those places being listened to. It's not that they didn't exist. They've always existed, but they're being listened to because they're saying, folks, if we do this and this and this, we'll be able to achieve this. And they're doing it and no one is interfering with it. So we are slowly getting out of the woods. That is a positive thing. It's not negative.
Okay.
Yes. But this World Bank, my views stay the same. This one of trying to tell us that the austerity measures are good for us, they are not. Not the way you're suggesting them. You have to blend an austerity measure with an infusion of cash and liquidity into the economy.
Okay.
You have to balance it. But austerity, it's counterproductive.
University crisis, that is what is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Missed lectures cancelled graduations and mounting costs. The pain of a lecturer's strike now in its fourth week is biting deep across Kenya's public universities as classrooms stay shut and the standoff over 7.9 billion drags on. More than 500,000 students are staring at disrupted studies, depleted loans and fading dreams of timely graduation. That story is on page 6 and 7. Hatutaki nyumba mbinguni mortgage scheme is our right. That is what is on the front page of the Standard right now. Gachagua ally now casts doubt on IEBC voter kits. Fresh doubts have emerged over the credibility of Kenya's voter registration exercise after governance expert Peter Mbae raised alarm about the integrity of the new KIMS kits, warning of potential data manipulation, voter exclusion and surveillance risks. Yeah.
You see, every time we talk about the university problems in this country, we can talk about it in the next hour.
Yes.
And ask ourselves the same, what really is the problem? What are we talking about? These complaints, it's about not being paid salaries. Okay. Are those the only problems that are bedeviling our university?
No.
And when did they begin? And what is it about our universities? And I'm referring here to public universities.
Yes.
What is it about public universities? Because we have other private universities that don't have these problems.
Yeah.
What is it about our public universities that make these problems perennial? What is it that is being done? And what is it that's not being done? And when we talk at this type or the monies that are allocated for the universities, are they inadequate? What is it? Because the strikes are about salaries, they're about delayed salaries, they're about arrears and so forth.
Yeah.
Right. How did we get here exactly? What is it that ought to have happened for this not to have occurred? And why is it a perennial problem? Yes.
Good question. Front page of the Daily Nation, Gideon bows to Ruto pressure. IEBC will conduct 7 parliamentary and 17 ward by-elections on November 17th. So County Chairman Gideon Moi was a no-show yesterday during submission of nomination papers to the Electoral Agency for clearance to contest the Baringo Senate seat. Coming a day after meeting President Ruto at State House, where he was asked to step down in favor of the ruling party's candidate. His decision to quit left his supporters high and dry. Head teachers lose power over KCSE exam certificates. And yeah, that's about it. Couple fulfilled love vows to their deaths. That story is on page 9. And fake C-section births exposed, or rather exposes SHA fraud. Getting back to this Gideon Moi situation, CT. Gideon Moi ni kama jana alikuwa anaenda kuchukua nomination ama kusubmit nomination papers zake katika ofisi za IEBC. I saw a couple of people from Baringo waiting for him at an airstrip. Multitudes of people waiting for him, and he never showed up because after this meeting it's like he stepped down from that race to allow the KK candidate to proceed.
So if he allowed them, so what was the understanding? Because this is a quid pro quo. It has to be. I mean, if you're being told to resign, what are you being offered?
Of course, you just don't tell someone to step down and then he says, okay.
What is he being offered?
I guess we shall know in due time. People are saying, I've seen certain quarters, people saying that perhaps he's been offered a CS position. Perhaps he's been offered something different. I don't know, but I guess we'll see.
We will, won't we?
Yep. Perhaps one of his allies has been offered something. Yeah. And then we saw another statement that was written to a media house telling them now to go easy on the government, but again, someone came out and said that that's a fake memo. I guess we'll see going forward if that indeed is true.
Let's look at the Star. The headline, the Star. MSME's credit scheme is sharp decline. Misses youth and women targets. Treasury discloses how many loans are plummeting, with initiative consistently failing to meet targets for supporting women and youth enterprises. Okay?
Yep.
Then within the Star, why Kalonzo is emerging as opposition private. This was yesterday's it was in yesterday's paper, isn't it? Okay?
Yeah.
Broke schools closed without capitation as CS insists on completion of audit. Okay? My friend, it's not just raining, it's pouring in this country to the pier.
Yeah.
332 billion lost cash. Why unclaimed assets authorities under the spotlight? This one I want to look at, and I want to see what it is that they're talking about. But by the time the unclaimed assets authorities under the spotlight, the institution is choked by inefficient systems, legal bottlenecks, and severe lack of capacity. Okay? Now, why is this a story? At least 332 billion in unclaimed financial assets belong to Kenyans remain outside the custody of the state agency mandated to safeguard and return them. Every time one reads of a problem that we have, within our government structures and within agencies within the government, you get the impression that there is a lot that isn't working.
Okay.
But that the agency exists in itself is a plus, because in the absence of the existence of the agency, we would not know of this shortfall, would we?
We wouldn't.
Yes, exactly. So now the question is, how many other agencies do we have in this country that for one reason or the other are not meeting the required targets or the mandate that was set for them?
Quite a number.
We will look for the person who is in charge of these unclaimed assets and we'll ask them to come so they can explain to us these things in detail.
Yeah.
Yes. Because there are people who exist who are mandated by the law to be in charge of these institutions.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the Daily Nation still, a couple fulfilled love vows to their deaths. Let me just read this real quick. Joseph Omido swiftly responded to a distress call by his wife Margaret following a road accident. In the spirit of for better for worse, he hired an ambulance, but the two died hours later in a second crash that involved that same ambulance. That story is on page 10. I saw this story somewhere on social media, and what the author of that story was saying that huyu jamaa Joseph Omido alipigiwa simu na bibi yake akamwambia, babe, I'm in an accident.
Na mke wake.
Mke wake. Babe, I'm in an accident. Jamaa akakimbia pale na ambulance wakamchukua. Then as the ambulance was rushing to the hospital, it had another crash and the couple died, plus of course some of the people that were in that ambulance with them.
And they say lightning doesn't strike twice.
Yeah.
This one definitely struck twice, didn't it?
It did actually. It did. This is hii nile mnasemanga tragedy, eh? What do you call this, by the way? Someone was saying that, vitu zingine baadhi zinakuanga spiritual, sijui when you see certain things happen in your family, anzeni kufikiria deeply, anzeni kuomba, fanyeni maombi. Hizi ndizo vitu zinafanyanga uanze kubelieve hivyo. But anyway, may that couple rest in peace, and of course the people involved in that crash as well. We're taking a short break. Yeah, sorry, you're saying something.
Yes, briefly before we take the break. No, let's mention this after the break.
Okay, sawa. We're taking a short break. When we return, of course, we shall be getting into another conversation. Remember, you can find us across all our socials. That is Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and even on YouTube. At YouTube, it's actually Radio Generation Kenya, and on our website, rgk.co.ke.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Retro never dies.
It's 7 o'clock.
Radio Generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation. Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Kenya African National Union leader Gideon Moi pulled out of the Baringo senatorial by-election scheduled for November, ending speculation about his candidacy just days after he announced his intention to run. The former senator confirmed his withdrawal on Thursday, leaving United Democratic Alliance candidate Vincent Chimetei as the main contender. KANU Secretary General George Wainaina confirmed that the party will not present candidate in the race, effectively giving UDA a clear path. A man has told a Nairobi court how a woman he met for the first time at a club in Lavington allegedly stole 335,000 Kenyan shillings from him after a night out. The suspect, identified as Laura Odero, is accused of stealing the money from James Kiaritha. According to the charge sheet, the incident happened on March 15, 2025 at an apartment in Riverside, where she allegedly transferred the money from the complainant's mobile account after allegedly drugging him.
There was a lot of alcohol, number one, which was just on the table. And then I remember the living room was quite empty.
So it was empty. So which table was this if the living room was empty?
Funny.
Because
Funny.
my question is,
There's a dining table, literally on the right. There was a table there with bottles of whiskey that was there.
so you can remember all this.
No, that's it. Last memory I remember of that house.
That's the last time we remember about an house.
Auctioneers raided the home of Naivasha MP Jen Kihara on Thursday, taking away over 100 goats, sheep, and one of her personal vehicles. The operation, conducted under the watch of armed police, is linked to a 2007 election petition between Kihara and former Naivasha MP John Mutudho. The incident comes just weeks after anti-riot police stormed the same home to stop a meeting convened by the legislature. Kihara has condemned the latest raid, describing it as politically motivated.
He was claiming 10 million. Ile aliclaim, hiyo tunabishana naye. Because there was nothing that I owed him. Mutudha hakuna kitu yake nilichukua. Although proclamation alikuwa ameandika kuna household goods watachukua, kuna tractor watachukua, lakini leo kwa sababu anafikiria ni kuniaibisha, amekuja akaiba buzi. Hiyo ni wizi. Alafu gari ndio yangu tu.
Kenya has welcomed the first phase of ceasefire agreement between Hamas and Israel, describing it as a vital step toward easing human suffering in Gaza. In a statement on October 9, 2025, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi praised the accord as a breakthrough that should have paved the way for a lasting peace in the region. He said that Kenya fully supports the...
It's 7:04.
Radio Generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation.
Welcome back. This is Radio Generation. My name is Mungala Mbuvi. The time is 5 minutes past 7 o'clock. City Muga is in studio, and we also do have our guest in studio this morning. That is Kyle Scooter. I hope I'm saying this correctly. He is the CEO and founder Kuzana Investment. Kyle, good morning and welcome to Radio Generation.
Good morning, Mungala.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
Did I say it correctly? Scooter.
Yeah, basically. So it's a Dutch name, but in the US we say shutter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And how do you say it in Dutch?
Just like you said. Actually, I can't even say it the way you said.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're better than me.
So in the US, it's shutter.
Shutter, yeah.
So I'll go with shutter. So Kyle Shutter, how are you doing?
Rock and roll. It's
Yeah?
great to be here,
Yeah.
7 a.m.
Uh-huh.
I'm ready to talk to the people who are the early birds.
Yeah. Do you know today is Mazingira Day in Kenya?
Right.
Okay.
It's exciting.
Yes, it is actually.
Holiday.
Let's. It is a holiday, but for everyone else who are asleep, as we're here working in the studio, we're actually enjoying ourselves. So I'm not complaining. Maybe I am. I don't know. So Kyle, tell us a bit about Kuzana Investments. What is it about?
Great. Yeah. So we invest in the future huge companies of Kenya that today are just getting started. We provide $20,000 investment, that's like 2.5 million shillings, and 12 weekly workshops
Right.
that take a company from where they are now to where they want to be as far as being able to delegate, getting their accounting in order,
Right.
make sure they're not dodging the tax man anymore, so they don't have to worry about going to jail, make sure that they can have systems in place so that if they want to go to Diani, when they do go to Diani, they're not being called in 5 minutes with some emergency.
Right.
I'm sure any entrepreneur can know this. They're getting, hundreds of calls a day of this problem, that problem. How do you actually run your business so you can be bigger than Bidco one day? That's the goal.
Wow. Let's go back to, you said you give companies $25,000?
No. They don't give. It's an investment company.
Yes.
He was talking amounts that they can invest.
Right.
Okay.
In these companies.
Yes, and that was a figure that was mentioned. It's not the only thing they do. So let's ask him the question. Tell us about your investment portfolio. Tell us about how you invest, in what sort of company specific that you invest, and what is it that makes it possible for someone who is looking for an investment through your company, how they can get to you, and how it is that that investment is actually then put in the business of this person who has reached out to you. Just walk us through that process.
CT, you're very correct. It is not a gift. It is an investment.
Right.
Yeah, and we do equity investments. So we start with $20,000. That's 2.5 million shillings.
Okay.
And then we can do follow-on up to $100,000. That's like 12 million follow-on. But equity is an interesting thing where you become business partners. So you're in the game together. So whereas a bank, they give you money and they expect interest back every month. Right? And if you don't pay, they'll come and break your knees or whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
That's their business. For us, we know there's ups and downs and we are in it for the long game. Yeah. So that's the gist of it. And then the kinds of companies that we invest in, there's lots of people doing tech, drones and software and things like, but we like the businesses that actually make money.
Okay.
Some people call them boring. I call them, boring in air quotes.
Yeah.
Where these are companies that are buying soybeans and selling soybeans.
Okay.
Right? Buying chickens, selling chickens to market. Importing mabati, and having a great home for people that removes
So
the
these
rain.
are the brick and mortar kind of companies that you're looking at.
Exactly right. We have done some fintech companies as well, but at the end of the day, we're looking for companies that the founder's very ambitious and they're really ready to do something where it really makes business sense. It's not a hope and a dream. It's like there's something really there,
Yeah.
That's the idea.
And so that's how you get to decide the company. The company has got to be a company that is actually making money. And to some extent, you've said boring, but that is where the real money is in the boring businesses, because they are the kind of businesses that actually have great returns, right? So by the time you're deciding on company A or B or C, do you go through their books, or do you listen to a proposal? Do they submit proposals to you? How do you eventually get to make contact with these companies?
Perfect. So the way we find companies and what they do, it's very simple. We want the simplest process possible for someone to raise capital. And they submit a 15-minute application. They can go to kuzana.co, that's our website, to apply right there. We've made it as simple as possible. As far as books go, most of these companies, they don't actually have their books in order. And that's part of the issue. they have bank statements. So we go through the bank statements with them to figure out what their revenue probably is and what their profit is. You know, if they haven't received any capital and they're able to pay school fees for their kids, they're probably profitable.
True.
Right? At least we call it ugali profitable.
Yeah.
You know, they're at least able to eat ugali and skuma on a
Sure.
any day of the week. And so that's the thing, is they don't have their accounting in order. So we actually, in the program, in 12 weeks, we set up the accounting. Zoho, I'm sure you've seen those billboards around.
Oh, yes, I have.
Yeah, they do a really nice job with their accounting software, but then it comes to, okay, how do you actually do that in the business? The software is only step one. Right? And so they can apply there. We want to be as fast as possible, faster than a bank. That's the goal. And the first batch, I think it took 109 days on average to invest.
Okay.
The next one was 89 days, and this one we're targeting 60 days.
So that's in 2 months.
In 2 months from now. So if they apply now, we just did our graduation 2 days ago for batch 2. And now we're going to do batch 3. We'll start in January, on the 7th of January. So far we've invested in 10 companies this year.
Right. Are they all in Nairobi or different parts of the country?
All different parts of the country. We've got Kisumu, Busia, Embu, obviously a lot in Nairobi as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And what is your role once you invest the money? Do you, because clearly you're partners at this particular point. So how does that work? Do you set up in their offices? Do they set up in your office, or do you form a WhatsApp group and have these conversations going on as far as management is concerned? How does it work? How does the partnership work?
Yeah, good question. So we have. There's 3 things we realized are more important than money. So previously I raised $20 million for companies in East Africa.
Wow.
And I think we've seen a lot of startups grow and then collapse. And so I saw lots of companies, they raised lots of money, but money alone is not enough. There's 3 things that are more important. We've got to focus, we want to professionalize, I talked about the accounting, but also you want community. Right? A lot of entrepreneurs are actually very lonely. The ones that are just getting started, they still have their high school friends that smoke weed, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And they're just moving on they're not at the level of like the Peter and Duatis, right? And so they're in this middle stage where like, oh, now who else am I going to be around? So this is where the 12 weeks comes in, where they form this batch of friends, so that every week you meet up and all that kind of thing.
Right.
So we come together, they come to our offices. And then after that, we go and we visit them. Chicken, obviously, you can't do chicken slaughtering in our office. It's going to be, imagine doing chicken, here at Radio Generation, it'd be it'd be a bit of a mess. It's not an appropriate place for that kind of thing. But, in Embu, that's an appropriate place.
True.
And so, you go visit them, and wow, the things you learn just being there with the entrepreneurs and seeing them work. The thing about a lecture is that you miss what's really going on with the entrepreneur or the person with their student. You go and you see them and you see they're picking up 200 phone calls a day. And you're like, wow, okay, that whole delegation class, that didn't really land for you. We still have other things we need to do to address so that you can actually delegate.
Right.
Whether it's a mindset thing of like, I don't want to let this go. I'm worried someone's going to steal my business. I want the quality to be extremely good. People are just used to having things go through me. I don't have systems in place so that when a customer calls or there's a complaint, people know how to handle it without me.
But those are actually legit fears where, and it happens a lot, where someone can actually steal your business, steal your clients, if they're not coming through you. So that means if I delegate that, to CT, for instance, CT is literally just, gathering information and wants to learn how the business is run. Then next month,
pretty soon he's the host.
In 3 months, he has his own business
radio show
next to mine. And now we are competing for customers. I mean, it is actually a legit fear. Is it something they've actually expressed?
Absolutely. It's absolutely a legitimate fear. So as the business owner, to figure out where the moat is, I think the mistake people think about delegation is you think, oh, I'm just going to delegate this one time to this person and then it's done. And it's not. It's a process. So you give them a little bit more leash on different things while figuring out what part of this you can control. Often the relationship with the buyer is the most critical thing. As an entrepreneur, we think that, your job is to build a great product, if it's HP or Apple or an iPhone.
Right.
What you really do is you're a salesman. All entrepreneurs fundamentally are salespeople. You're selling customers, you're selling to investors, you're selling to new employees. And so figuring out where it is in your business that you need to control is important. Also creating a brand. No one else can sell Bidco except Bidco. You can go and start your own oil company, that's fine, but you're not going to have like the same kind of thing, right? Someone can start a new Kuzana, but we already have the brand for that, and so we're already attracting those kind of people.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a really good question. Everyone and different businesses are easier or harder to delegate. So a service business, let's say you're a lawyer, that one's very common for someone, the associate, to go start their own firm because, like, do they really need someone doubling their costs, right? Their hourly rate, versus they can just do it themselves. So you find law firms tend to stay small versus oil processing like Bidco or a bank. Those tend to have a brand and there's some kind of thing there, there's some kind of moat. And so how do you figure out how to make that moat? That's a really good point.
Why did you determine to get into this line of business?
Such a good question. Yeah. I mean, like I was saying, that we saw so many companies that they went bankrupt. And the reason was they didn't have a strong foundation.
The country, the business that went bankrupt, in which country? This country?
I mean, around the world, but in Kenya is where I have experience. So I had a biogas business. I started when I was 23 here. So I came here, I traveled around Africa, and came here for 2 weeks, and then I decided to stay. I didn't take my return ticket after that. And so I did that. I had a Thai restaurant as well. I had this capital raising business.
A what restaurant?
Thai food, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was just a gap in the market. As an entrepreneur, you're like, there's opportunity for these companies, but I've helped them raise money. And when you're helping them raise money and you're just doing that, you're putting Band-Aids on top of, or plasters, as we say in Kenya, right? On top of the situation to hide things so that you can raise money for them. Because you're like, this is a really big problem in this company, but we won't solve this. What if we actually solve those fundamental things, the delegation we talked about, the accounting, right? And then these companies could really grow. And then I just saw no one really doing that. The results speak for themselves. The companies, they double on average in 12 weeks. Just putting these systems in place, right?
So what happens in these 12 weeks that brings about the results that you speak of? What do you actually do in these 12 weeks, this 12-week program?
Yeah, well, people have to come for sure.
What do you walk through? Just an overview, not... I don't want you to give us the details. Just tell us, what do you walk people through that? Because clearly there's a mindset shift or change, and they look at whatever they were doing differently, and then they start doing it differently, because if they were doing the same thing, there would be no change in the results. But if there are changes, it means there's an entire shift in the way they were looking at whatever it is that they do. And we are saying that shift produces the results that one sees over a 12-week period.
Yeah. So let me give an example. There was one entrepreneur doing the soybean logistics, buying and selling soybean. Very simple business. When he came, he had two businesses actually. He had a chicken business and a soy business. Chicken business is a fine business, except it was taking half of his stress, but only 1% of his revenue. So the first thing was, why are we doing chicken? And it took about 4 weeks for his mindset to shift, because he was so committed to the chicken. And we're like, it's not working. Like, why are we doing this thing? And so the first thing is focus. So that's one of the things I talked about. Of the 3 things more important than money, focus. And focus is so difficult because, like you said, it's a mindset. How do you stop doing the 27 ideas? Any entrepreneur has 27 ideas before breakfast. And if you do all of them, you cannot be the best in the world at all 27, right? And so you find that one. So he started doing just soybeans. So that was the first thing. Then, even when he came, we looked at the books, and I was like, this is a mess, but we can sort this out. And he had the problem where he could not get any financing from anyone else because the accounts were not in order. One of my advisors looked at the books. He's like, don't do this company. There could be a fraud in here. This could be a disaster. And I was like, no, I think we can sort this out. I think I understand what's happening. And it ended up not being a fraud. It was just, not keeping your books well. And from there, he was able to raise, from our $20,000 investment, another $200,000
Really?
of capital from other funders from both banks in Kenya and other capital providers. And then from there, he got a term sheet for $250,000. This all happened within 8 months.
Okay.
Imagine. So their revenue went from 5 million shillings a month to 21 million shillings a month. So they grew more than 4x. Is that a boring business? You're not bored if you're in that one.
If I'm making how much money again?
Yeah, 21 million.
That's definitely not boring.
Not boring. Yeah. So yeah. So anyway, that was one thing. And then yeah, just the mindset. One thing I find very interesting, you as parents, I'm sure you have kids?
Yeah.
You guys have kids?
Yeah.
As parents, I call it tough love. You love your kids, right?
True.
But sometimes a few words can really set them in the right direction.
True.
You know? You're like, you say you want to be the Rockefeller of avocado. Do you think Rockefeller would really do this? Like, would he really, go home at 5 p.m. on a Friday? No. And so they're like, oh yeah, I actually the thing is working harder, or whatever it is, right? Or it's like, why, how do we make these kind of things? One is a rich man, poor man mindset. This is a fun one. Sorry, am I interrupting you?
No,
Okay.
I'm listening.
Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, you start poor. You start with nothing. Like you have zero revenue in your business. And you grow eventually and you can, you start to get some revenue, but you still have that poor man mindset where you drive across town to save 50 bob on boxes, right? When you could have had sent someone or you find them work closer or whatever it is. And so the first one thing we do is we calculate someone the value of their time. So let's say they double their company in 6 months, which is very realistic with Kuzana. So let's say it's worth the 20 million shilling business is going to go to 40 million. What's the value of your time? So it's about 1,000 hours in there. So your time is worth about 10,000 shillings an hour. So if you're doing something that's getting you less than 10,000 shillings for an hour of work, if you've got a teapot that broke and you're bringing it back to Carrefour to get an exchange, and that's going to take you an hour, and that teapot costs you 2,000 shillings, what are you doing? Give that teapot to your house help or whatever it is, and they can sort that thing out, right? Or give it to some friend.
And concentrate on what is important.
Exactly. So your time's worth now 10,000 shillings an hour. Then do that same calculation next year. It'll be worth 40,000 shillings an hour. And then you can start to think about a rich man mindset rather than a poor man mindset, which is appropriate when you're starting, right? But eventually you're not there anymore.
Yeah.
So that's the mindset kind of thing.
When one talks about investments, essentially you're saying you are partnering with the people in whose businesses you invest. Is there a limit to the areas of the fields that you would invest in?
No, not really. I mean, I don't think I'd do probably not sports betting because I'm not sure I'd. I think it's a good use of people's money. So there might be some limitations like that, and then also the ones that we think really can scale to be bigger than Bidco, right?
Well, you see, what I'm actually asking is, I think you've understood it. What is your preference? What sort of businesses, given the business environment in this country, given the leaning that people have towards what they do, their consumption habits, and the trajectory of growth in the interest, what are the areas that you found you would give preference when it comes to investing?
Yeah. In short, anything in the logistics space does very well. There's a huge opportunity to move soybeans from A to B, chickens from A to B, pig feed from A to B, avocados from A to B. Like, that's a huge opportunity. So anything in logistics related, we really love. The bigger picture is if we're looking for a CEO who we believe can take the company to $10 million a year in revenue in 7 years profitably.
So the focus is not the business, but the minds behind the business.
Yes.
Because that is what will make the business.
Of course.
So you invest in human capital, not so much the brick and mortar of the business.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so the qualities that you look for: someone who understands business, somebody who understands what you need in your books, what and how the book should work. What other qualities do you look for in these people?
I mean, the things you look for is intelligence, energy, and integrity. Right? So someone who's smart, especially about this space, and then they have the energy where they're just going to keep on doing it. You look at the history of entrepreneurship, and there's no lazy, successful entrepreneurs. It doesn't happen, And it's fine to have someone who just wants to, hang out on the beach and whatever, but you're going to work hard. It's going to be a lot of work. And then obviously the integrity part is the most important. You don't want someone with low integrity but high energy and high IQ. They're going to, rip you off, right?
Yeah.
So that, how do you judge that? Through reference checks and what they've done before, and talking to their suppliers, seeing what their history is, seeing how they, show up on time, look through their books. You can't really hide your numbers for very long. Or look through if they don't have books, then look through their bank statements, talk to their banker, all those kind of things,
I'm glad you've mentioned integrity for this reason. Business in Kenya and the business ethos around it revolves around that very same word, integrity. And what it is that people consider in Kenya to be possible, to be acceptable. And yet, it may not necessarily represent any high standard of integrity. Meaning, what is considered to be acceptable in business may not necessarily represent integrity.
You mean some people cheat and then get ahead by cheating rather than being honest?
Yes, cheating is what it boils down to, but it's people, the word I would use is shortcuts. You live in a gray environment when it comes to doing business. It may not even be illegal, but it can't stand the cold stare of daylight or a serious integrity test. I will give an example of what I mean. Somebody employs people and knows that the laws of this country require that the basic income that you're supposed to pay someone is X shillings. But you can get away by paying half. So you'll pay half. And you expect the person to do the same work. The requirement of our laws are that somebody works a certain number of hours for a certain pay. Your workers work longer hours, and there's no compensation for that additional hour that they... Things which ordinarily one would look at and say, but everyone does it. Yes, but you see, that doesn't make it right. And you, in so doing, you are in essence lowering the integrity quotient. So I'm talking about the business environment in Kenya, how Kenyans do business, and I'm looking at what you consider to be integrity, and I'm asking the question, what's the bar?
It's a really interesting question. It's very challenging. Because there's morality, there's ethics, there's legality and integrity, and they're not all the same thing.
They're not, but integrity more or less summarizes everything you've said, because it is a composite word that has facets to it, and everything that you've said can be encapsulated in that one word, integrity. They all equal integrity. When someone has integrity, they have this, and they have this, and they have this, and they have this, and they have this.
So let me give you a scenario.
Give me a scenario.
I was at this workshop on integrity in Kenya, actually, and it was one thing that was very important is showing up on time, right? I think everyone in the world has challenges showing up on time, but especially traffic here, and we have excuses, etc. So they had made a big deal about it.
Kyle, just allow me to interrupt you.
Yeah.
If you live in Nairobi, you know there's traffic.
Yeah.
There's traffic. You know there's traffic jam. You even have an idea when there's traffic. That can't be an excuse for being late.
Fair enough. I agree. Okay.
Please, continue.
So we go out for lunch, and we're coming back, and then the police stop us. And they're like, oh, you're going the wrong way on a one-way street. There's no signage for this. So the police have stopped us, and they, of course, want kitu kidogo, right? They want some chai. And we're like, okay, now we can't show up on time if we don't give a kitu kidogo.
Right.
And so we're going to be late, and we're not going to keep our word. Basically, integrity means keeping your word, what you said you were going to do. We're not going to keep our word if we don't give these guys some money. But if we give them some money, then we're breaking the law. Is that morally and ethically acceptable to us? And it's also illegal. So now what would you do in that situation? You said you were going to show up on time. It was a workshop about integrity. What would you do?
I wouldn't have looked for a place to eat that is far away from where the meeting is taking place.
But you're in the situation, right? So you're in the situation.
Well, you asked me and I've answered, or I would look for people who can deliver food to me. So I would actually eat at the meeting place. So
But
I would not be. in that
What
problem.
Kyle is asking in the situation, forget all these things that you say.
No. The question, I'm actually responding to the question that he asked. What would I do? And I've told him what I would do.
So you wouldn't be late in the
Now,
first place.
it wouldn't arise.
You wouldn't.
So you're never late. You've never been late before.
Oh, I'm late a hell of a lot of times.
Uh-huh.
I even oversleep sometimes.
Uh-huh.
I'm simply saying, if I'm cognizant of certain realities,
We can't invest in this one here.
Yeah.
He's always late, huh?
right?
I'm late plenty of times. I miss plenty of meetings. It's not that I'm saying that I'm above these things. I'm talking about the reality of understanding a situation would determine my actions and my thinking. I am aware that at certain hours in this city, there'll be jams. I am not leaving that building to go and look for food. That food is going to come to me.
Okay.
Yes, that's number one.
Or you postpone your lunch.
And I will not postpone my lunch. The food will come to me. I'll have planned in advance and say the food is going to come to me. When it comes to the question that we're dealing with here is not eating the food. What do you do when the police stop you and you're being inconvenienced because you know what you need to do? Well, first of all, what you're trading in at the time you're stopped is inconvenience. The police is offering you inconvenience and is asking you, this is an open market. How much are you willing to pay for this inconvenience to go away? That really is the issue. So, if you're willing to put up with more inconvenience, then you will not pay. If you want the inconvenience to go away, then you'll negotiate what you consider a fair recompense for the money. Now, you stop the thinking there. Is there anything else you can tell this policeman that will give you passage to go where you want to go, but not get you to remove money to give him?
Right.
The answer is yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have examples of that too. So sometimes you can talk nicely. I was trying to get a work permit some time back. I hope this one's not going to be in trouble on the air. We'll find out.
No.
Hopefully statute of limitations is over. But I talked to someone high up in immigration, and they're like, my friend, if you want a work permit, you need to give me, I think it was 20,000 shillings at the time. And I was like, or 50,000. I was like, why don't we do this? I had a biogas company. We became friends. He's got cows at home. So I'm like, we've got a biogas business. Why don't I give you a discount on the biogas business, on the system? And he's like, okay. So he agreed. So I jacked up the price and then I brought it back down to normal. So I gave him the normal price. And then he was happy he got a biogas system. I got my work permit.
Right.
And so sometimes you can solve these problems.
Yes, that's the point. You didn't break any law there, did you?
No, he didn't.
No, you came to a business understanding.
He was smart about it.
Yes, you used whatever variables you had at your disposal, and you realized if I give this money, I'm breaking the law. But I can be of help to this person.
Yeah.
Something that he or she will find agreeable without us actually. Now, again, the inconvenience of not getting your work permit, you found a way around it. Okay? When you talk of integrity, and I asked the question, was the bar. Okay? There are those who will say, no, it amounts to bribery. I would say, no, it doesn't actually. It doesn't. This fellow had a need, which he probably hadn't realized until you told him, this need I can actually solve the problem.
Yeah.
So you exchanged, you provided a solution for him, and he gave you a solution. Now, those who would argue, but it's his job to give you the work permit. Yes, it is. The earlier question was the reality of the business environment in the country. You confronted it head on.
Exactly. So the reality is a really interesting thing. And what is, you're hitting on the most important thing for me in deciding whether actually to invest my own money in Kenya. Because ultimately this was my money that we started with, So in the environment, the reality of the environment is the best competitive advantage in Kenya is tax evasion. Some guy who's not paying import duty, not paying VAT, is importing iPhone cases or Android cases, and you're paying taxes. You're just not going to be able to compete on the same price.
True.
Right? And so, what do you do in those situations? Do you want to be in those industries where that is a thing? In the U.S., if you want to get your passport quickly, so it takes 6 weeks to get your passport.
Okay.
If you want it quickly, you pay extra. In Kenya, there's no official channel for that.
Yeah.
Right? You pay. You get it in 6 weeks. You want it tomorrow. You make a friend with someone. Right? So these are the things okay, the system, like you're saying, it's not actually set up to be able to solve some of these business problems. So you make unofficial solutions. They say English came to Kenya on a ship. Democracy came to Kenya on a ship too.
Right.
So you mix tribal systems and democracy together, what you get is corruption. Because if you're going through some chief's land and you need some help there, you give the chief something for giving you safe passage and being able to, provide safety and all these things, right? But if you combine that with democracy, now it becomes corruption. So now we have these mixed systems. And of course, Brother Trump is forcing, and Biden force certain things on Kenya. Africa was cut up by Europeans. So my people, right, they chopped it up and they divided tribes and they grouped people the way they wanted to. And so we're dealing with a system that wasn't organically formed. Okay. Right?
But even if it was organically formed, we would then move the idea or the discussion to human nature, how humans behave. What the Europeans did here, they'd been doing it to themselves for the longest of time. It was like there was target practice in their own country.
Right.
So when
they're practicing chopping up land.
Exactly, and chopping up each people and claiming someone else's land.
And the wars in Europe.
Yeah.
That was
for centuries, not decades.
Yes, they were very good at chopping up land.
Exactly. So by the time they came here, they knew exactly how to aim and shoot. They had figured that out a long time ago, and and that is the reason why. The forerunners to their imperialism and colonialism were business entities. They had understood this thing perfectly. Okay? Now, the British understood it better than most people because they colonize you and then they form something they call the Commonwealth. So all of you people whom we colonized, we're now just one big happy family and it's called the Commonwealth. That's really smart. So you actually forget that these fellows actually colonized you and gave you a bloody hard time when they were at it. Okay? Now,
they give you an invitation to the party and you accept.
Exactly.
When you were kicked out of the party in the first place.
In the first place, yes. Now, where you now live is full of people. Where you come from, it's full of people who had run away from their countries in Europe, specifically because things weren't working very well for them, whether it was religiously, economically, but they moved there.
Correct.
So they knew those people well because those were their people. So when they decided to look for the excuse with the Boston Tea Party, they had figured, these fellows, if we allow them to continue doing this, we won't have changed anything. We'll be exactly what we ran away from. So they got it. Now, your people have also understood how to make the law work for you. We are getting there. What do I mean? You deal with the problem, say I'm giving an example of electioneering bribery by introducing lobbying. It is a legal process.
Legal bribery, yes.
Yes, you've actually ensured that you can bribe, but within certain structures.
Right.
Yes, you're in this industry, you engage a lobbyist who essentially carries money for you within the law to offer these representatives of the people certain development projects. But it is with the law exists. That's where our problem comes in. So what you're spot on about is now cultural practices. It is normal. When you grow up in a traditional setting, you never go to visit anyone empty-handed. You never do. You always take a gift to someone.
Yeah.
You visit a relative. And they also send you away with something that they have given you. It's either chicken or some yam or some sweet potatoes. It is normal. So when you think of that culture, when we talk about bribery in this country, that inconvenience, which is what is being traded, you're also being offered an opportunity to solve a problem. This fellow has a problem with a certain fiduciary issue, a state of impecuniity. They don't have as much money as they would like to have. And since you're driving this nice car, they feel this represents money. So he's introducing a process by which you can share some of what you seem to have in abundance with him who doesn't have much. But they have the advantage of having the power to bring this discussion on terms that are favorable to them. That's what you're dealing with here. But when you just say it is bribery, it is. But contextually, you need to understand if that disparity did not exist and it wasn't so blatant as it is, then perhaps that wouldn't be in the same manner. The person wouldn't be using their power to try and gain an advantage over you. But then again, they've seen it is a practice by even other people, perhaps in the political sphere, who have that power doing exactly the same thing. So I'm simply saying the ecosystem is actually a growth industry for the very thing that we're talking about. Now, my question was the bar. I'm back to the bar. the bar that you set, how does one navigate around these realities? Because
yes, so Kenya is a low trust environment. You see this at any intersection. If you wait at a stop sign, you will never get through that intersection. So you see some new Americans, they've come to Kenya, and they're very funny. They're waiting, and you're like, this guy's not getting anywhere, right? You know, Richard Smith, whoever, right? So once you become Kenyanized, you know, as a motorcyclist, my goal sometimes is to drive. I'm a motorcyclist. So I find, you know, I used to enjoy roller coasters in the U.S. I don't anymore. They're boring. Motorcycling is more fun.
Would I be wrong in saying that you're somewhat suicidal?
It's a two-wheel death machine.
Go on, please. Yes.
You know, to go through these intersections without even putting your foot down ever. You know, so you're just like balancing and getting through. So if you have this physicality of you must get your nose of your car in front of the other car in order for you to get through, and you wave and you say, it's the darndest thing to me, because in America people be hooting at you and they'd be angry. Here you're just like, you know, waving and you're like, you know, begging face, and then, you know,
and
then you go
and
through.
moving.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's the scenario. So it's a low trust environment generally, but in the specific case, it's a high trust environment, and this is something that most people don't understand, is that when this comes to investment. So we Wazungu, we come here and we invest the same way we do in the U.S. We invest one by one. But actually, the sense of community, the specific trust, is much stronger. CT, you're losing it. What have I cracked you up about so much?
Don't
share
worry,
the joy.
He'll recover.
Okay.
And you're gone.
Yeah. So the sense of community is actually very strong in Kenya. So why do we invest one by one? Why not invest like a group? So chama, it's an idea that does not make sense to an American. Why would we pool our money and give it to Mungala one day and CT the next? So you could just run away, but you cannot, because you're part of this community, right? And so we're actually building trust as we keep the merry-go-round going. This does not make sense to an American at all. It's taken me, 15 years being here to get this.
Right.
So, so you're saying, so what's the bar of all of this? And the bar is that when you're in that community, the integrity is extremely high.
Okay.
You do what you said you're going to do. But have we really made an agreement with Ruto, with Zakayo about the taxes? Those things are just imposed on us. That was not an agreement amongst our group. That was something that was imposed. So people make their own arrangements when it comes to those kinds of things to deal with that. But amongst ourselves, I have money today, I buy beer for everyone, you know?
Okay.
And so within Kuzana, within the investment, the trust must be very high.
Okay.
And the way to enforce that is to have that community. And, we invest, in your business, and then you're on his strategy board, you have some stock options. We're all supporting each other and hold each other accountable, So it's always creating that community, which is actually very strong and natural in Kenya.
So what I'm getting is that they create their own bar, decide, what is what amongst themselves. And I think that's actually a very good strategy, because at the end of the day, regardless of the country that you're in or you're investing in, that is something actually very critical in deciding if at all this is something that I want to do, if it's profitable, and if it is something that will definitely, if you're comfortable in doing it, then that's okay. What hasn't been clear to me, perhaps you said it before and it skipped me, is where the money is coming from to invest. At one point you said in the beginning you were investing your money. Are you still investing your money, or do you have other investors with you that actually invest into these businesses?
Yeah, good question. So initially it was my money, and then I went on to raise money from other people. So you always want to have some skin in the game when any investor wants to see that the founder also, contributed. So yeah. So we've raised money from Americans, Europeans, but also Kenyans. I think Kenyans are at least a third of the capital we've raised. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Which is very cool.
Good stuff.
Because they provide lots more value than just money by connections and advice and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
So this is something that people can actually join to invest, not just to seek for this particular funds. I can actually, if I'm an investor, I can join Kuzana and say, look, I want to put in my 2,000 shillings.
2,000 shillings, 2,000, 2 million, either one.
Exactly.
Yeah, we accept.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, in terms of the people that you've partnered with, the people that are coming to get these funds, are they balanced in terms of men and women? Is it more men? Is it more women? How is the gender parity like?
Yeah, that's a tough one. So it's mostly men, and investing in women has been very interesting, very tricky actually.
How so?
Because there was actually 2 women we tried to invest in, and then they said their husbands wouldn't let them receive the investment. So this was very interesting.
Hold on. They said what?
Yeah, the husbands would not let them receive the investment.
This is Kenya.
This is Kenya, yeah.
Which part of the country?
It isn't
both
much which part of the
both
country.
Central and Coast.
But I'm interested.
What type of women? What is it about them? Because where you come from is important, but it's you.
Yeah.
What sort of
the
person?
individual
Yes.
woman.
What sort of person are you, and the ecosystem in which they exist? That ecosystem includes this person we're referring to as the husband. Yes.
Yeah, I'm interested. Where did this happen, and how long ago?
Yeah, it was this year. I mean, we just started this year, and one instance we got the feedback that the husband's like, why are this Mzungu giving you free money? What else are you doing for him?
Okay.
And then another one was, I think it was a case of sort of control, where it was like, I'm the one who's in charge. I'm in financing this business, so I'll lose control maybe. And so I posted about this on LinkedIn, being like, okay, how common is this? And it was very interesting to see in the comments where some women would be like, oh yes, this happened, or they would DM me and say, I can't tell anyone about this, but this happened to me, or I got a divorce because there was some women I've talked to who've got divorces so they could grow their business. Yeah, so that's what they said. That was their story. I'm sure there's 2 sides to the story, but that was what they told me. And also in the comments, some men who are like, yeah, women, I would not allow my wife to receive investment. So I was like, yeah, it was very surprising. I was like, why would someone say that publicly, even if you would do that? So it just made me realize, the culture is very different than what I'm used to. So it's a lot to get used to. Seems like it's surprising you as well.
It is actually. City. Why would
CT, is that surprising you?
No,
City is not surprised.
No.
Yeah, he's not surprised by anything anymore.
No, don't be fooled. There are things that surprise you.
But why would anyone tell their wife not to take this funding?
Look, let me put it to you simply. With all the modernity that we claim to have, we are a fairly paternalistic society. And even these modern Kenyan men are extremely traditional. You need to ask their wives, they will tell you just how traditional the men are. Our women are also more traditional than they think they actually are. Our traditions still bind us together. This generation that you once upon belonged to, the ones we're referring to as Gen Z, maybe they may be the people who have moved away from the traditions that have governed our lives, even with the infusion of this so-called modern Western way of looking at life. Now, what you're hearing is how men understand their relationships with their wives should be. And you're talking about a woman who gets money for an investment. It means she'll be economically independent. That is a problem for very many African men. A woman who is financially independent, it is a massive problem. They will not say it, but it is a problem for them. A huge problem.
I'm actually curious to know, how old were these women?
30s.
In their 30s?
Yeah.
Buana.
And the husbands are probably in their 30s. I'm trying to tell you that we are a paternalistic society. What that means is when it serves our interest well, our lingo will be very modern, and we will talk about ideas that are considered to be modern. But at our core, we're not different from our fathers or grandfathers.
No, I find out.
And I'm trying to tell you, forget the conversations you have with your buddies, like the ones you're going to have this evening, because tomorrow you're not coming to work. Forget that conversation.
I'm going to be with Kyle, by the way.
Most of that conversation is false.
Yeah.
People don't actually tell you how they look at life. For instance, let me give an example. For most African men, African Kenyan men, it is very normal to have a wife and a girlfriend or some girlfriends. It's just fundamental. But do people honestly say, I'm going to get married, but I also need to buttress this relationship with a girlfriend or two? Do they? No, they do not. It is a lie that we accommodate and we live, because when you say you're going out with the boys, you miss out a key component, the boys and other girls.
I think I'm going to make this into a topic in the next hour, but yes, continue.
You see, I am saying that influence that we have influences the way we conduct business, the way we actually understand relationships, and even the way in which we solve relationship issues when it comes to women. Many of the problems have to do with just our traditional thinking, which we are unwilling to move away from. But the support system that we have with this is also the women, the African Kenyan women. They're also more traditional than they think.
That was interesting, and also this LinkedIn post, the comments, some women saying, I need my husband to tell me what to do. That would give me direction. I think it's appropriate for men to veto an investment.
I mean,
and so I don't, well, not the majority of women, but definitely some women said that. So I was like, wow, okay.
I would understand if you need to consult your husband or your wife for that matter, and agree that, okay, fine, do we need to expand this business? Yes. Can we seek for funding? Yes. This is sources we can seek funding from? Yes. I understand when you need to make that consultation.
Advise,
But my husband wouldn't allow me to get it from a certain institution or a certain individual.
Paul.
Because...
Paul.
Yes.
I don't know who you hang out with.
Yeah.
But these are things you discuss. You may believe you're honest, but most of your friends are lying to you. They don't think the way you think. I'm telling you this. You meet a Kenyan woman, they'll talk. The conversation will be modern and even postmodern in terms of relationships and sharing.
Right.
Women, African women, want a man who is going to look after them. Literally. Let me repeat so that you hear it. Literally. You will foot the bill for everything.
And I do foot the bill. What I'm asking is, if this is her business that she started,
I think
it could be a boutique, butchery, whatever it is, and she wants to advance, because I'm certain she wants this business to get somewhere, not to just stagnate at a certain point, and she needs funding for that. Clearly, she's free to get it from anywhere she wants.
That's theoretical. When it happens to you, and you do what you're trying to get us to believe you will do, then we can have this conversation. For now, it's pure theory. Believe me.
Are these issues you face in, I don't know, have you invested outside Kenya?
I have, yes.
All right. Are these issues you've encountered in those other places?
I haven't encountered them other places, no. So I only invested in the U.S. and Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, these things that I'm speaking of are useful because they explain why it is marriages tend to last. The country he comes from, divorce is a growth industry.
It's a big business.
Yes, it is.
I know.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to say is,
but are they happy marriages that last?
They are, but yes, but they're becoming extinct. They're really not that many. And if you look at the marriages that last, there's certain values, and most of them are traditional, that those people believe in, and the relationship works for them.
Okay.
It's when you're experimenting with these newfangled ideas, okay, that moves you from a core that you've understood, and then there's no continuity in understanding that these are things that need to be looked upon and discussed on a regular basis.
Right.
It isn't as though you start and it's stuck there. It's never stuck in time. And then you juxtapose it against the person you were when you married and 10 years who you are. You're not the same person.
Okay.
You have children, you change immediately. Now these changes are never accommodated. But the African man doesn't change much. That's the point.
Okay.
It's similar to the, corruption. There was polygamy, and then, we brought in Christianity. It just suddenly appeared, honestly, 120 years ago. People just switched, but a lot of cultural practices are still there. I was always very surprised when I came to Kenya originally. people still believe in witchcraft very much.
Oh, yes.
But they'll say, but Jesus will protect me. But witchcraft does exist. And so these things exist simultaneously. Monogamy exists alongside polygamy. Democracy exists alongside, traditional practices of giving tribute to, whoever your land you're passing through. So these kind of things. There's also convenient lies, which you talked about, which is the idea that a drunk in the park will be drinking out of a bottle of whiskey in a brown paper bag. Because then we have this lie, the police, it happens in the U.S., happens here, they'll be like, he's not publicly drinking because we don't know what's in the bottle. It could be water, right? And they want the convenience of like not arresting this guy for not really doing anything. He's just there and drunk, and it's like they got lots of other bigger fish to fry.
True.
And so we have these convenience lies that, you like you said, you've got a wife, but then you're going out with the boys, quote unquote, with some girls. Yeah. Right. And so like that's a story to like to survive in the culture. And then there's as a business, how do you have integrity? But if you follow all the rules to the T, you'll never get anywhere.
There's something
I will never get my truck through an intersection if I follow the rules.
There's something
I can never run a
there's
business.
something you figured out, which is actually very, 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 very key to what you're saying, what you're discussing, and you've done community. See, you've discovered or you figured this out. And why am I saying you figured it out? On this continent, the reason why the marriages that we talk of work is because of the fidelity we hold towards the community. When you get married, it's not just you and this lady. There are other people involved in this. And somewhere along the line, you are accountable to these people. So the issues that often bring about the eventuality of divorce are muted somewhat by this community.
Right.
Because there's a reference point you can go to. You're not going to... The guidance and counseling that we seek and we pay for is provided for by this community.
Exactly.
Somebody will tell you, no, don't look at it. This ought to be. Now, if you take that thinking into business, the chances of success are extremely high. Because the integrity we're talking about is brought about.
You're not receiving investment from me. You're receiving investment from the Kuzana community.
Yes.
That's why we say Kuzana. To
Yes.
grow together.
Yes. So, yes. Go on.
Yeah. So
you find that you are the accountability factor. These are people these are people you relate to. It is easy for them to hold you to account, and it's easy for you to accept the accountability that they bring to bear on whatever it is that you do.
And now, what has happened when people moved to Nairobi? What happened to that community? You had a community where you're from. You're near all your aunts and uncles and relatives by marriage and otherwise. Right? What happened when everyone moved to Nairobi? You're close to everyone, but are you really close to everyone? You're not anymore, right? You're actually far from your community. And so we recreate communities. This actually happened in Europe in like the 1500s, 1400s. People migrated to cities. They broke their traditional things. It used to be that land was handed down one to the next. Then in the 1500s, the land started being given to the church. This totally changed how society worked. The idea that you get buried where your father is from, that used to exist in Europe. It still exists in Kenya.
Okay.
Right? And so now it's like, okay, we need to create new communities because we're losing the old communities we had. My girlfriend, my partner, we go to the village once a year maybe, but like they're not close with
Kyle,
those people anymore.
Do you have another 15 minutes we can spare so that we discuss this thing before you leave?
Okay.
Can you spare another?
Okay,
fine.
Yeah. All right. So, this is what I'm going to do. Check out some of these comments here. We do have King David Lubale. He has clarified that Kenya is under poor mindset state, leadership, kitu kidogo, and excuses, and of course being late. Then Gypsy Corner says, we're laughing at you. Hello, good conversation. Misogyny is very ripe in Kenya. That is very true.
Right.
Paternalism reigns high. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. We're going to take a short break. When we return, of course, Kyle will engage with us for a minute or so before we let him go. And I want to talk about that issue of why you men are not letting your women invest. Like, what on earth is wrong with you, if at all you are that kind of person? So don't go too far. We'll be right back.
In the beginning, there was morning radio.
It's 8 o'clock.
Radio generation, the sound.
Generation, the home of urban soul. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Kenyan activists and their Ugandan counterparts are now calling on the African Union and International Human Rights Organization to intervene and stop the ongoing kidnappings in East African region. Speaking as they march to the Ugandan embassy in Nairobi, the activists pressed for the release of Kenyans Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo, who went missing days ago in Kampala. On Tuesday this week, relatives of the two, together with human rights defenders, visited the KNCHR offices in Nairobi to officially record statements and seek the Commission's support in pushing for answers from Ugandan authorities.
Serikali ya Kenya itoe taarifa rasmi kuhusu waliko Bob Njagi na Nicholas Oyo. Tunajua kuna mateka wengi wa kisiasa ambao wamepotezwa na hizi serikali tatu za Afrika Mashariki, kule Uganda, kule Tanzania na hapa Kenya. Tunaomba haya mambo yaishe mara moja.
We demand urgent attention from the East African community, African Union, the international human rights bodies to investigate and address this abuse of power.
The family of Brian Odhiambo, the Nakuru fisherman who went missing while in the custody of Lake Nakuru National Park officials, is expressing frustration over what they say are attempts to stall a court-ordered search for his body. This comes after the DCI secured a court order to conduct an extensive search within the park. The family's lawyer says they are concerned about the slow pace of implementing the directive. Brian went missing on January 18, 2025, while reportedly fishing at Lake Nakuru National Park.
The Directorate of Criminal Investigations sought and obtained a far-reaching court order on Monday from the Chief Magistrate's Court at Nakuru, authorizing extensive search and exhumation operation within the park. We are, however, deeply concerned about the pace of implementation. We respectfully urge that the process be expedited. Any further delays risk compromising crucial evidence.
President William Ruto has called on African leaders to accelerate efforts to strengthen trade within the continent and invest in local industries to unlock Africa's full economic potential. Speaking during the 24th COMESA Summit at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi, President Ruto noted that intra-African trade remains at just 14%, far below other global regions. He urged governments to adopt bold strategies to raise it to at least 50%.
Excellencies, intra-COMESA trade, though improving, still accounts for a very small share of total trade. Africa, as we all know, and I was looking at the numbers this morning, only contributes 3% to global trade. And as we also know, intra-Africa trade, and I'm sure my brother Wamkele is here, is only 14% of all our trade. If you compare with Europe, 70% of their trade is intra-European. They trade 70% of their products within Europe.
The National Assembly has passed the Privatization Bill 2025, marking a significant step in reforming Kenya's regulatory framework for the privatization of public entities. According to the National Assembly, the primary objective of the bill is to repeal and replace the existing framework to enhance the efficiency of public entities through privatization. The legislation introduces a structured approach to privatization, aiming to streamline processes, ensure transparency, and align with national economic goals.
Thank you, honorable members. I therefore now put the question, which is that the Privatization National Assembly Bill number 36 of 2025 be now read at that time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
World leaders have welcomed the news that Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a Gaza peace plan. The deal paves the way for the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners, the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza, and the entry of aid into Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the agreement a great day for Israel. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said the deal was a moment of profound relief that will be felt around the world.
I strongly welcome the news that a deal has been reached on the first stage of the peace plan in Gaza. This is a moment of profound relief that will be felt around the world, but particularly for the hostages, their families, and for the civilian population of Gaza.
And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
In the beginning, there was morning radio.
I've never seen anything like this.
But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey.
You got it locked.
Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Welcome back. The time right now is 7 minutes past 8 o'clock. We're still in studio with Kyle Shetter. He is the CEO and founder, Kuzana Investments. We're just talking about investment opportunities that are available to Kenyans and other folk. Actually, he's told us that in the next couple of days, is it days or weeks, you're heading to Eldoret and Murang'a counties.
Yep. Motorcycle trip.
Yeah, or you're going to be on your bike. So you're going to look for investors, or rather investment opportunities.
Investment opportunities, yeah.
All right. So what kind of businesses are you looking for?
I mean, the good ones, right? The ones that make money. So we typically invest in
the boring ones.
The boring, quote unquote boring.
Yeah.
They boringly make money. We've done everything from, yes, fintech, but also soybean logistics, to Mabati sales, to health food. Media would be very interesting. Podcasts, investing in a podcast should be a great business, I think, in Kenya. So anyone who's already doing 300,000 shillings a month in revenue.
300,000 shillings a month.
So that's what we're looking for. Sometimes we'll do something earlier, like if they already have planted 100 acres of avocado, they already established a lot of traction, but typically you want to see something with, at least that. Up to... the largest we did was 6 million shillings a month in revenue already.
What are some of the, I want to call them weird, but perhaps they're not weird. What are some of the strangest ideas you've invested in here in Kenya?
I wouldn't say, I'd say we don't do very many weird businesses.
But one that you wouldn't find in the States, for instance.
I mean, one is a business that does managu. It's called Nyumbani Greens. Delicious Kenyan African vegetables. We've imported, lettuce and whatever from Europe, but actually the real nutrients you can find locally. I think there's a push back to, okay, what are the traditional foods that are healthy, that made people healthy? They could walk, hundreds of kilometers, right? And so that's one where they do delivery of traditional greens, and they do it for, average people, but also, the politicians' wives, etc., are also buying from them.
So, and what is the one business that you have actually met in this country that you were not able to invest in, but you're like, I wish I could actually invest in this?
There's lots. Cosmetics, I think, is a really interesting one. Or shea butter. Those are ones we really would like to do. Leather. I think there's opportunity for leather and leather goods.
Why are you not able to invest in leather?
Not able? We just haven't found the right opportunity.
Okay.
So you have to find the right entrepreneur.
Okay.
So as much as you like a sector, you get applications there, but it's just not the right fit. If someone is just very focused on maybe they're doing like 20 different businesses and they refuse to give up the other businesses, or they don't have enough growth, or they don't have the integrity, they're not showing up on time to things. right? The basic things, or you talk to their suppliers and they're like, oh yeah, these guys haven't paid us. So you just can't really invest at that point. They got too much debt. We do check people's, personal credit when they apply and see where that. Some of them have millions of shillings of outstanding loans. You can't invest. Yeah. So actually Kenya's become a much more friendly investment climate. Now you can get more info on people.
Yeah. But you can invest in a company that has debt, just not that much debt.
Yeah, you could if they have debt, yeah. But if they're underwater, then it's a problem. Or if the founders just have personal debt, then there's just too much of a risk of money being siphoned off.
What do you do and how do you go about determining a business's intrinsic value?
Yeah, for us, it's pretty straightforward. We look at what the stock market in Kenya does and have a little bit of a discount, and then just, compare the two. So a company doing, I don't know, 1 billion shillings a year and the stock market's worth, X. They're doing, 10 million shillings a year, then they're worth whatever that is, 100 times less. It's pretty straightforward. Or a way that a company can easily value themselves, we look at about 8 times gross profit.
Yeah. Okay. Again, like I said, there are some very good business ideas here, and I'm sure you'll find some in Eldoret. But what has made you want to go to Eldoret and Murang'a specifically? You could have gone to any other place, or is it just a place where you'll start and then spread out your tentacles to the rest? Visit the other counties.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, we visited lots of different counties. But your question about who to invest in, I think athletes could be a very interesting...
Is that the reason you're going to Eldoret?
That could be a very interesting thing to invest in. Some friends who are marathoners, they say, oh, this guy's faster than me and he runs barefoot. They just don't have the shoes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So there's lots of opportunity actually in sports. So it could be in the athletes themselves, or it could be in facilities to support the athletes.
Yes.
Like we're just at the very beginning
Yeah.
of helping Kenyan athletes. I think like the Rugby Association has gone down quite a bit. There's a huge football opportunity. Basketball is coming up. I mean, yeah, there's so many youth as well that, okay, how do you reach youth? Any product you have, you need to reach the youth through a youth thing, which is sports. So if you're a bank, there's gonna be so much sponsorship opportunity. All the billboards are gonna have, famous athletes on them in 5 or 10 years. And who's managing those athletes? Someone should manage it. There should be some talent agency for that.
That's why they're going to Eldoret.
Yeah, so that's one reason. Obviously, the agriculture is huge there. I think there's just a strong mindset. Murang'a, you just see lots of interesting entrepreneurs coming from there. James Mwangi, Peter Nduati, Maguna Supermarket. And so it feels like there just becomes places like Silicon Valley where you just have this growth of talent that comes up. You see it in Shenzhen, in China. It just happens in the world. In Netherlands in like, I don't know what, the 1700s or London in the 1800s.
Right.
We're just like huge, fountains of talent.
There's a lot of musical talent in this country. Have you invested in any artist's studio maybe?
We haven't yet, no.
Okay.
Would love to. I think it'd be very interesting.
All right. I'll introduce you to a couple of them.
Oh, good.
Yes, I will. Definitely. All right. Before we let you go, what is that one thing people need to know about Kuzana that should be, like, apart from the money, of course, that should be the main attraction so that they can actually consider getting in touch with you?
Yeah. I think go from a business that causes you stress to one that causes you joy. And what would that be like if it did cause you joy? So the best business is the one that you enjoy doing, which makes it's not even work. So instead of work-life balance, work-life integration, right? I'm enjoying chatting with you. We're talking about business, but it's fun, right?
It is actually.
Right, I'm actually having fun with both you guys. And so how do you, if your business becomes like that, then you're unstoppable. You're unstoppable once it's just something that you enjoy, your friends are doing this, you've got the support that you need, right? And so, so definitely encourage people to apply to Kuzana, and we're looking for the top 1% best entrepreneurs and help them grow bigger than Bidco.
Right.
So they go to kuzana.co.
There's something I want to ask you. What's the make of your motorbike?
It's a Kibo. You know Kibos?
Yes, I know.
Yeah. So Kiboko, I guess is where the name comes from. Kenyan assembled.
Why did you choose that particular motorbike?
I mean, it's a good size. It's durable, and I like to support Kenyan-made products and try them out. And then also, it's very easy to repair. Repairs is a very critical thing. If you buy a BMW and you're an Eldoret, or you're God forbid, even further out than that,
and it breaks down,
where are you gonna find a new spare? Or you hit a pothole, which there's a few of them around Kenya. So
what's the engine capacity?
250.
Well, that's big.
So it's good size, yeah.
It's a very good size.
Yeah, you see a Boda guy up country, and they're like so impressed. They've never seen a bike that big before. Sometimes
Really?
you're like, "Wow, you've got a machine," So you feel like a boss, even though in Nairobi 250 is small, but there up country.
In Nairobi, we are
you
used to
become friends with the
300,
Boda guys.
600.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What does it use to propel it? Electricity, or does it?
No, it's a
gas
engine.
Yeah, petrol. I was thinking about electric, and those are super fun bikes because their acceleration's amazing, and around Nairobi, you're just like meow, meow, meow.
But
And
the
it's the range
is the problem.
So if you're wherever, in Iburu or wherever, Subukia, what are you gonna do?
City, do you want to buy a bike?
I have no wish to buy a bike.
Okay.
I like bikes. I like the idea of bikes. I will never buy one. I will not ride one. I rode some when I was young, and I was dissuaded. I moved away from that particular thought process completely. But I like
the idea.
Well, not just the idea. I like looking at them. I love the power they have. I love what they can do. And I remember a time when I first came across a motorized tricycle. That almost convinced me I should consider
buying one.
But that thought disappeared as quickly as it had appeared.
Yeah,
So-
please don't.
Who your wife told you no?
No, I did never
He
discuss
told
it.
himself no.
I looked at it, thought about the process, very good. Then I figured, no, there are things you may like, but you think about it, you probably wish you hadn't thought so much about it, because if I hadn't given it thought, then who knows, I might actually have owned a bike, but I gave it thought, and I decided against it.
Okay.
Yes.
Kyle, thank you so much for coming through. How do we get in touch with Kuzana again?
Go to kuzana.co. Our email's there, phone number. Join the WhatsApp community. There's a community of more than 500 entrepreneurs in the WhatsApp community just to discuss entrepreneurial topics. Definitely apply and refer someone. We do offer a commission for people who refer, and if we invest in them.
Okay.
So yeah, kuzana.co.
Kuzana.co. Just
.co, yes.
Okay. There you have it, folks. Kuzana.co. Get in touch with them. If you have that biashara that you'd like to, expand. An expansion by this is necessary. And you cannot, unless your father is a billionaire, you will need to get some money somewhere. But this is where we let him go. Coming up in a short while, we do have Mr. Noor. He's been here before. And the conversation is going to be around community-based organizations. So don't go too far. We will be right back.
Previously on the most talked about morning show in town, The People's Breakfast.
But one thing I have to assure the public, the panel is not going to change the law.
I'm really proud. I mean, the KDF stands tall regionally and internationally, and that's why you have the favor that you see in terms of them being, in the forefront.
A time will come. Where is Saddam Hussein? Where is Libya, Gaddafi? Where is everybody?
The People's Breakfast, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. In the beginning, there was morning radio.
I've never seen anything like this.
But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey.
You got it locked.
Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation. Traffic. Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. Traffic on Radio Generation. Radio Generation, home of hard truths and bold insights.
Yes, indeed. We are the home of hard truths and bold insights. Quite an interesting conversation we had there in the last couple of minutes. I've enjoyed myself fully, and I hope you guys are going to apply for those funds because you definitely need them. Right now, though, we are in that particular hour where we are having a very different kind of conversation. Let me ask you guys, are you interested, or are you dealing with any community-based organizations? Because today we have Miraj Mahmood. He is the communications director, Biliki Foundation. He was actually here a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to ask him about it was a medical camp, right? Yes. That we were talking about last time. How was that camp? What walitokezea kweli kweli?
It was indeed a great moment. I think what walitokezea wingi sana, and I think it was quite a successful day.
Yes.
And I think we got over 5,000 people came.
What?
They were so, we were even overwhelmed.
5,000.
5,000.
That's quite a number.
Yes, that's quite a number. I don't know where they came from. I think people are in higher need, and we could not even control the crowd. And,
those are the kinds of numbers that Kenyatta National Hospital handles.
We were even more overwhelmed. We never even thought, we were not expecting to have those kind of numbers. We were expecting at most maybe 1,000.
Yeah.
And we couldn't cover everyone.
Right.
We tried what we can, and the rest.
I hope you did it 2 days then, or at least.
We tried to do it 2 days, but it could not be possible.
Bado ingetosha.
Hey.
Sawa. Today we are here to talk about Mazingira Day and why Kenyans, of course, need to step up as far as that is concerned. We are celebrating Mazingira Day. I think this is the second one.
Yes.
Since President Ruto inaugurated it last year. What about this day is so special that we literally had to create, to cordon it off from the calendar and say, this one now, we're going to focus on Mazingira? Because I feel like former President Moi, the late, he was also very, very focused on mambo ya mazingira.
Yeah.
We could see him on videos, building gabions around the country. Planting trees was actually another major activity that he did with leaders across the country. And for a minute there, I thought that day was forgotten.
Yes.
Or rather, that activity was forgotten until now. Here we are.
Yes.
Why do you think it is important?
Thank you so much, Mbua and City. I think first of all, just to start off, to answer your question in a different way, I think we underrate this issue of climate or Mazingira in general. We tend to think like climate is just a normal thing, but it's really affecting us every day. Actually, here in Kenya, we are consumers. We are consuming the effect of climate change. We are not the polluters. Of course, the first world are the ones who are polluting the environment, and as a result, we are not doing much. Especially right now that you're talking about planting trees, we don't understand the idea behind why we should plant trees. I think planting trees is necessary for everyone to take part in it, because plants, it's a beautiful thing. It gives us oxygen. It gives us the oxygen that we are breathing right now. Understanding that we are releasing a lot of CO2, carbon monoxide, and of course, without oxygen, we will not live.
For sure.
So I think because tree is life itself, everyone should step up and plant, even if it's one tree, because by planting trees, you are of course also taking part in fighting the effects of climate change. And I will put it this way.
Yes.
Using an example, in Kenya currently, we just had a heavy rain. I think was it a week ago, or I don't know.
Yes.
And I think we were seeing a lot of guys being carried with Mkokoteni and those kind of things. Climate is fighting back. It's actually
pushing,
punishing us. It's actually punishing us because we're throwing bottles of water anywhere. We are not planting. We are not watering the trees. We are not taking care of the environment. So the environment, as a result, is getting angry and it's pushing us back. So by planting trees, we are actually protecting the climate. One, in two scenarios, when it's flooding, I'll use two scenarios, like the flooding and the drought part. So for flooding, when we plant tree, of course that tree will absorb that kind of water.
Yes.
And as a result, that water will not kind of spread. It will be more like an absorbed way. And in the scenario of drought, if you cut down the trees, of course the water will just come out and then it destroys the entire ecosystem.
Yeah.
So I think it's crucial and it's really important. And I don't want even Mazingira Day to be just a one day. It should be in our mind to be an everyday thing. Event, yes, not only one day. I think one day is not even enough. like we should be extremely responsible to take care of the environment and plant trees whenever you can.
Is Biliki Foundation involved in Matters Mazingira?
Yes, we are, as Biliki Foundation, we are really involved in Matters Mazingira. We've been doing this, by the way. But right now, we've gone a bit bigger because we want to take part in being in line with the government's agenda, because we are in Kenya.
Yes.
We want to join the rest of Kenyans in taking part in this kind of big day, which is Mazingira Day. Yes.
Yeah. One thing that has been on the lips of even world leaders is this issue of carbon credits. Now, inasemekana that Kenya, we are focused, and we've started being focused na haya mambo ya mazingira because there's some benefit financially that we're getting because of, reducing our carbon credits. So the whole issue around, and we saw what President Trump said the other day during Unga,
yes.
Sema hakuna mambo ya climate change.
Yes.
This is one of the biggest lies. It has gone global.
Yeah.
It is just a few people here trying to make a few coins here and there.
Yeah.
And for the very longest, President Trump has made it very clear, even in his previous term, he was like, man, boy, climate change it's made up. It's artificial. There's nothing such as that. So when such a leader, world leader, in the position of the strongest, most powerful person in the world, when they make such statements, what does it mean for us third world countries?
Why are we attaching what someone who clearly has issues with?
Because he affects policy, and
actually,
when he does that,
you've got to the heart of the matter.
Yes.
Why is he affecting our policies? Why should he?
Not just our policy, but you see our policies, and especially on matters to do with climate, we tend to borrow from what is happening in the West.
Must we?
We don't have to, but unfortunately, we do.
See my point exactly. When it is a good thing there's someone like Trump who exists, because he represents a nation that for the longest time has been seen as a leader in very many fields and very many areas of everyday life on this planet. Okay. So when someone's way of doing things clearly diverts from any known reality or truth that you have, what business do you even have listening to him? Does that not tell you that we are in a position to do things that would actually be beneficial to us? On terms that are beneficial to us, on terms that we control.
Yeah.
Because if we allow ourselves to be influenced by that person, then we are saying that we are always waiting for an individual such as that one to tell us where to go. And you can see the direction he's taking his own country. He's not taking them forward. He seems to be taking them backwards.
Because when he does that, for example, funding for research into climate change by his government, either reduced or disappears completely.
My point exactly. Yeah. Why must we always discuss the things that matter to us with reference to people giving us money from outside?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Okay, City, you have a very good point. Myself too, because first of all, as we are in third world, I think I cannot comment on Trump because everyone sees what he does. But I think in one part, I think I slowly, like, should I put it like 0.001% agree with Trump.
Yeah.
For example, like China,
which means he's being polite.
No. Because listen,
no,
in terms of like the Paris Agreement.
Let's get his
for example,
points.
the Paris Agreement. Trump argues who are the greatest polluters. I think the likes of China.
Yeah.
China not contributing anything to Paris Agreement. America does also, of course, pollute the environment much. But it's like he's
comparing himself to the rest.
He's comparing to the rest. Of course, there's some economic interest. What kind of interest does it bring to USA? That is point of argument. Because Republicans are more of pro-Americans as compared to the Democrats. But because he's saying China is the biggest polluters, and they don't want to be part of Paris Agreement. But US has been funding this Paris Agreement. I think it was he withdrew. The first time he withdrew was in the year 2017. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yes, in his first term. Yeah.
In his first term. And again, of course, he's doing the same. And of course, he's not a pro-climate kind of person. He doesn't understand. Yes.
But how do we look at someone whose country has transferred the pollution to another country?
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Because the manufacturing that was previously in those countries went to China because China offered a business environment that they didn't have in their own countries.
The human resource and expertise.
Yes, exactly. And the low cost of production and things like that. So it is a false argument. It is a false argument because it now brings about the thinking and the trade differences that lead to war that a country like America has with China. Because when someone is competing with you on the economic front and they're now proving to be an economic might.
Yeah.
Remember, it used to be Russia. And everything that was communist was negative. Until we saw a communist government, that is China, bringing their people up in 45 years to a point where they're literally the wealthiest nation on the planet. And you can see it. It's not something in a lifetime. I'm saying that when someone is propagating the interests of their country, which is what he is doing, nobody forced them to donate that money to give it. Nobody. So if they decide they're not giving it, so be it. I would look at it and I would agree with Trump when I'm considering how do we get to a point where we can do these things by ourselves and not have to rely on people.
That, by us, you mean Africans?
Kenya, to be specific. I'm not even thinking of, I'm not going continental. Kenya.
In Kenya, for example, yes.
How do we, because we have resources. Mbuvi, we've had leaders at the very top of that particular food chain called presidents and their cronies who have been plundering this country since we got independence and we are still here. Does that not tell you that the resources of this country are profound?
Yes.
Does it not tell you, despite everything that goes wrong, left, right, and center, the country still has resources? Now, if these resources were deployed adequately, why shouldn't we be a power? Why must we always talk about the begging bowl that we must go to other people to look for help?
No, hiyo ndio shida tunategemea.
Exactly.
Tunategemea countries kama US, UK, Germany, watupatie do.
And that's why, and I totally agree with CT. Yeah. You know, that's why it comes to two things. We have mitigation and adaptation. So it depends on how we take it. In Kenya, are we mitigating or are we adapting? Because we're talking about the effect of climate change. So the effect of climate change in Kenya, first of all, our policies depends on the most affected. I'll use the one, for example, in northeastern Kenya, northeastern or northern part of Kenya, like Turkana, this northern part of Kenya, or even Isiolo.
Right.
We do not have time to do anything to do with mitigation. We have to be more of adaptation because it's here, it's affecting us. How are our communities adapting to this kind of climate change effect? Because a mother who has been, for example, destroyed, who relies on livestock as the main livelihood,
yes,
has lost maybe all her livelihood, and she does not have anything to start with. So we need to come up with a clear policy. Does Kenya have a clear policy on how to create an adaptation program where these communities can survive for the time being, while we are coming up with a mitigation kind of plan that will completely provide a long-term solution. Of course, CTS spoke about the first world. The first world, they are dealing with fewer issues, but of course a heavy issue, which is of course climate change. But as compared to here at home, it's really serious because we are cutting down the trees. Most of the families, for example, one time I was in Marsabit and I asked a mother, why are you using charcoal? Why don't you use a gas cooker and those kind of things? She said, siwezi nitatoa pesa kununua gas cooker. Lazima nikate miti ndo nipate kupika chakula.
Kuni na makaa.
So the government is not providing an option. So because people are ready to take care of the environment, but they don't have an option that the government is giving out. So the government is not focusing on the bigger picture. I have to say this clearly. On the bigger picture, we should not be talking about carbon credit currently as Kenyans. It's important. Maybe when we reach that level, first of all, we need to put our house in order. Because we seriously, carbon credit, mostly we're talking about big companies who are coming in. And I think even just to clarify, I think that thing is being discussed in Parliament. I don't know if that bill has been passed. You need to have certain kind of companies that will act on behalf of government to sell out this kind of carbon credits to bigger institutions. I don't know if I'm not sure. Maybe
the truth of the matter is that I don't know about that bill, whether it has passed or not, but it is the issue of carbon credit is made to sound complicated, and yet it actually isn't, because essentially it boils down to something very simple called barter trade. You have something that helps bring about a healthy environment and an ecologically friendly environment. And in order to maintain this, because you're now doing it not only on behalf, but on behalf of those who are actually doing the complete opposite of it. So there's the trading. We are willing to give you hard cash so that you can continue doing what you are already doing and what you have in abundance.
actually our government has been accused of that. I don't want to call it a crime, but it has been accused of that exact thing, whereby we receive these goodies, money or otherwise, because now mnapanda miti sasa, mnafanya kazi yote, and it doesn't look as though it's a genuine what
activity
thank you, genuine activity towards actually making them. Kama hakungekuwa na pesa, someone might argue hakungekuwa na Mazingira Day. You see, and for me it's about perception. But anyway, at the end of the day, in this case, the means justifies the end. There's this situation where we have countries who are actually importing trash. Turkey, Netherlands, Vietnam, they import trash from other countries because kwao maybe ni wasafi. I do not know, I've not been to those countries specifically, but when can we get to that point whereby our cities are so clean, our homesteads? Look at, for example,
why do they import trash?
Because they use it,
they recycle it.
They recycle it. Some burn it for energy. I'm not sure if it's Sweden that, or is it the Netherlands?
Mostly these
I'll
European
confirm.
countries, yes.
They burn it for energy. They burn that trash for energy, where they now use it to produce electricity in their cities. Yani uchafu kwa imeisha kabisa, hawana trash kabisa, na kama iko ni ile kidogo tu inatoka kwa manyumba for daily use, but they have taken care of their trash so well such that they actually now import it from other countries like the UK. The UK actually exports a lot of their trash to countries like Turkey and Vietnam.
Yeah, you see, there's one thing and that always goes underreported, especially, and I'll put this blame on journalists, because we tend to talk about environment on one aspect, which is planting of trees. So, ni kama wanahabari, people think about journalism is also about just reading news. It's more than journalism. Or maybe mtu akisikia mimi ni communication expert, you think only about social media, but it's above that. So I think it's not only about planting trees. I think to answer your question about why are we misbehaving, I think it's because people do not even understand the basics. People do not understand why it's important to plant trees, why it's important to take care. It's a common sense thing. Like even right now, if you just take after maybe you after your work, just do a small simple survey, like on the street. Unaona mtu anakula ndizi, then you just do like this, anatupa
the peel.
Then if you ask him why are you doing that, anakwambia we don't see a trash. So one is a failed policy from, let's say, a county government, or
they don't see the trash can.
There's not enough trash cans, maybe. Maybe that can also be, it's a failed thing from the county government, because if you provide, maybe you might find a bit of some few people are a bit responsible and they put it on the right place.
Yes.
But it's also, people do not understand the basics, which is the importance of protecting the environment. And we assume that because you are grown up, that utatumia akili yako. Some people, as much as you are grown up, you can't understand why throwing a bottle of water, an empty bottle, might maybe block a sewerage system. You can't understand the basics. So you have to, the government needs to put a policy in place where it gives out maybe a free kind of trainings to young generations on the importance of preserving the environment and why they should take care. And
I said this a while back. I was privileged enough growing up. I happened to interact with a lot of environmentalists, courtesy of competitions that were going on, and my mom also being a journalist, I had that opportunity. And one thing that I learned from these folks, especially the Africa Fund for Endangered Wildlife, is that we would go to places like Amboseli, Masai Mara, Samburu, to those game reserves and national reserves, where we were actually taught about environmental conservation. Throwing trash. Do you know to date, siwezi achilia karatasi kwa barabara.
You see? So you are privileged, at least your parent took you through those kind of basics.
Right.
And I think majority do not do that. Even myself, as I told you before, if you go to these European cities, it's actually, even you will feel ashamed to yourself to throw anything, because you will see that the street is entirely clean. So I think it's also the moral authority from the citizens themselves to take care of their own country. Because if you say like inchi senior Ruto to or whatever, if you try to put a blame on the government I think then you're getting it wrong, because this is your town. You, by protecting where you live, the ecosystem where you stay, actually contributes a lot.
Unajua watu wanasemanga aje hapa Nairobi, mtu anakunywa maji anatupa kikombe ama hiyo kichupa venye anataka, alafu anasema si tunalipanga kanjo afanye kazi.
You see,
nisipotupa mtu akanjo atakuwa na kazi.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. That's ignorance right now. That's what I'm talking about. Like, going to school is not enough. You need to just get a basic training on why it's really important.
How do we do this training?
Actually, you should. You're onto something very potent. It's not training.
Yeah.
You put it in your curriculum.
Yeah.
So that a child starting school is taught these things from the time they're growing up.
Yes.
By the time that child even is 5 years old, they'll be the biggest advocate for a clean environment, because they've been taught and they will understand it and they'll practice and they'll even challenge their parents.
Yes.
You put it in the curriculum. So it is part and parcel. And when you move on with the years, you introduce more units so that the child's understanding of the environment also grows. It's like with the maths.
Yeah.
You start studying maths from a very young age, and as you get older, you get into algebra, you get into what? The building blocks of understanding increases. You get to a little higher, studying statistics. Same thing that you're doing before. If we took these things that we consider to be important to us and included them in the learning process of younger citizens, this problem will be solved. Because you'll have an entire generation of people who understand what you're saying without, they know, and they practice it.
The same thing on matters to do with integrity.
Yes.
Yes. If we can actually have these subjects, let me call them subjects, in school, such that ukiwa standard sijui ni 3 ama ni 4, grade 3, grade 4, it's actually a lesson, a class, just like
you're taught.
The way you'd have business studies, the way you'd have mathematics, English and Swahili. It's actually taught under so that you know, we start learning about our environment from, and you know, when you instill it from that young age, unajua hata mtoto atakwambia dadi umetupa ile chupa kwa nini.
They'll actually ask you why within the home. If you look at countries that you argue and you say, you know, these people seem to be very orderly, the things that you see are taught.
Yes.
So it's part of you.
It becomes now the culture.
It is just the culture. It's the way you do things. It is normal for you. Now, you see, look at what we are teaching our children and the things which are becoming normal. But tell them it's normal to steal. It's normal to break the law. Normal. So you have an entire generation who are going to be such thugs.
Yeah.
Huh?
Like right now, listen, you see, for information, do you even know that like the poop from a cow, you know, even in
cow dung,
yeah, it's, you know, it releases a lot of CO2s, right?
Yes.
And the cars are, for example, in Europe, mostly are electric, for example.
Yes.
There are always that kind of reason behind it, because in Kenya, for example, if you just go on the street, we are inhaling a lot of CO2s, and that's why we keep on complaining. Chronic diseases,
especially
blah, blah, blah.
the ones for the pulmonary.
Oh, yeah. Why we are creating it ourselves. The reason why I'm talking about the policies is by going electric, for example, contributes a lot in terms of protecting this ecosystem.
Yeah.
Because for example, I'm trying to compare the first world on us in Africa. Is because we don't have a government that takes care of the policy. It's just a piece of paper. Whereas in Europe, it's actually they are implementing on the policies where they've put up in place how to live, how human beings should live.
Yeah.
They give more preference to human beings because human beings are more important, because we are the ones who are working, we are here, we need to survive. But we go out in the street, we inhale a lot of CO2s. We go to this kind of dry lands. You don't find a shade. Why? Because we've not put in place right mechanism on where we should be planting trees so that we can have enough shades. So we live in an environment where we just try to survive. We don't care about environment. We don't care about how it's important. But then you just sit like this. Then one day unaona mvua inanyesha sana, then you're like, hey, what's happening? 50 people have died, blah blah blah. Then you're
floods
like, floods in the city. You report on these things as media, but no one has ever gone back to understand what caused this. And I think once we discuss about what caused this and address it, then of course we'll come to a kind of a kind of a good plan on how to mitigate this.
A friend of mine, former schoolmate, relocated to Kigali, Rwanda.
Yes, Kigali is safer.
Yeah, and he has told me we were talking on the phone over the weekend, anaambia mbuvi manze huku ni kusafi. Na akanambia, do you know how nimejua ni kusafi apart from just what I am seeing on the streets? The streets are clean for sure. He told me unaona hata mechanic, mtu mwenye ukienda pale Grogon saizi utapata kona oil kila mahali, mikono zinakaa. He told me those guys are clean.
Clean, yes, of course.
He told me you know, ukipatana na mtu wa kuosha wanaitwa watu kufagia streets, akaniambia those guys are clean. Akaniambia that's how I have actually determined the level of cleanliness of this country.
Exactly, and that's what I'm talking about. It's about public responsibility. And as there's a time I was listening to a podcast, someone was asked, how are we corrupt? He says like all of us are corrupt. And I think it's a responsibility about all of us, whether it's the government or the citizens. Because for example, you're talking about Kigali. These guys have accepted their country, they have accepted their government, they are working with the government. But for us in Kenya, I think we are in that kind of stage where we want to oppose everything. We have that kind of energy of saying no, you know. And I think that's the reason why we are a bit behind. Because if you go to even this kind of posh places in Nairobi, it's a bit more stable as compared to these other sides. And if you ask that reason, it's not that these other guys have decided just woke up one day and said, hey, we will be clean. No.
Yeah.
Is I think they have put in place a right kind of a mechanism, a policy where they decided that this will be a clean place that all of us should be living.
Yeah.
If that can be taken to other smaller towns within the country, I'm 100% sure. At least will not be 100% improving, but at least we'll be somewhere. You know. So I think it's something. It starts with me and you. It starts with us. You know, getting a bit more serious and stopping. We should not be putting every kind of blame to the government. By the way, I'm not I support the government when it's due, and I criticize the government when it's supposed to be. But when it comes to a public responsibility, I don't think here we need to involve government in everything. I think washing your dishes, taking care of your environment, does not necessarily have to do with something with the government.
You know, I keep on referring to the guys who sell smoky out here and Mayai Pasua. Those guys around where they sell their stuff, and it's all of them along this road. The places are very clean.
Yes.
Ukimaliza kukula hivi anakuambianga hiyo karatasi tupa hapa.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. They've decided to do that.
Yes. Even the mayai hizo whatever shell, kuna mali anazieka.
Yes.
Ndio akimaliza biashara yake, he goes home with them. On a day like today that they will not open because it's a public holiday, you will not even know that hapa kuna kitu inapiki yangu hapa na inauzi yangu hapa.
So it's a decision that they chose to make.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's a responsibility upon you. Just like as Sita said, like how we train our kids. Like if, for example, you know, charity begins at home.
Yeah.
If you teach your kid that when he wakes up in the morning he has to brush his teeth.
Yes.
Even if he goes to school, he will keep on regretting. He will come back home and tell, Daddy, in the morning I did not brush my teeth. Because you've put that one in his mind and he has taken it. So I think the same applies to environment. Once you understand that using your own common sense, sometimes even myself, when I have an empty bottle, I feel ashamed even if I'm driving to throw it because I'm 100% sure it doesn't look good with you.
Yeah.
You have to just have it in your car and then wait for and look for a trash can.
Better still, have a trash can in your car.
In your car.
You know all these bags that we use when we buy things. Hang one in the seat so that everyone in that vehicle knows.
Yes.
When you eat, you throw it in that bag.
Yeah.
So all the trash is accumulated there. Let me say something that is on my mind.
Yes.
The discussion around the environment, the cleanliness of it, and environmentally safe processes and procedures, it's a false one. And I'm going to explain to you what I mean by it is false. You see, the commercial world tells you, for instance, that electric vehicles are environmentally safe. But therein is the example of the lie that I'm talking about. These cars run on batteries. These batteries have to be manufactured. The process of manufacturing these batteries really affect the environment. The process of excavating these very things that are required to make these batteries and for what they are. And even when the batteries have reached a certain lifespan and you want to recycle them, it is a process. It is not any different from the process of digging up crude oil, processing it, and then making it something that can be utilized, and then diversifying into very many products that are used. What am I saying? I'm saying that for us to have an environmental discussion, instead of labeling and saying there's something that we call a carbon footprint, and see some of these things have a lifetime of a carbon footprint, or they'll argue and say, yes, it is true, upon the manufacturing of batteries and these electrical vehicles, the environmental impact is big, but over time, the zero emission. But you see, If you do the sum total of the production of all these things over time, the number of human beings on the planet and the way they keep using these things, that very process of using what it is that drives that engine doesn't stop. So when you talk about a lifetime of now use, batteries come to an end, you have to replace it. That emission never really stops, really. So where is the honest conversation about actually reducing it to the point where the commercial interests like to tell us it is being reduced? You see, an honest conversation, not just a conversation that is led by the industry that is actually producing it.
Well, batteries at one point, these are now the electric car batteries. At one point, they have found ways to actually break them down, to extract the good component out and then discard the bad component out. So eventually, with time, if we actually adopt this system, we might end up seeing a reduced pollution level as far as the environment is concerned. But there's also another technology that is currently being being developed alongside electric vehicles.
Yes.
And that is hydrogen vehicles that actually run on hydrogen. You see, the byproduct of hydrogen is actually water, because once you burn hydrogen, you just oxidized it. It becomes water. So that actually, for me, is the cleanest energy that we can actually adopt. But continue.
City has a very good valid point. City, there's nowhere that you can always find a long-term solution, but we can minimize. I think I believe myself that electric cars are, of course, better than the fuel cars that we're using, because simply your point is valid also, because batteries itself, when you're extracting it, of course it will, of course, at the end of the day, pollute the environment. But we're talking about the usage itself in the country. For example, you are not going to be breathing, inhaling a lot of CO2s. At least we are minimizing as compared to
fossil fuels.
And I think that's why we're having this kind of problems right now in Africa. And the idea of having electric cars, number one, is you feel safer. I think, number one, that the environment, even when you're walking in the street right now, if you go to the street of Nairobi, you keep on talking, you keep on when they accelerate on these drivers, especially these public transport cars, you'll even find that they don't even take care of, they don't even service the car. And once they put on the fuel, you feel like you can even see the the smoke coming out from the car. So I think I am for electric cars, and I think it's a bit safer, and we can have a lot of argument about this on is
the production part
of it. But of course, everyone will agree that it kind of minimizes the effects of climate change. I think, and everyone who plays the part in
what is the real danger? What is it that makes this discussion around climate change and environment? What is it that makes it potent, and what do we see is the one process or the collection of processes that now brings about the danger that we're trying to move away from? What is it?
The danger comes about, okay, you see, the worst, what we're doing to the environment through emissions. You see, the problem here is the emissions. That is the problem. And if we look at the levels of the ozone, they have actually, for a very long time, up until a couple of, I think like 10 or 20 years ago, the ozone was slowly depleting, becoming thinner and thinner. That means that we were being exposed more and more to the ultraviolet lights coming from the sun. And there was actually a very big hole.
Ultraviolet
rays, yes. But it's light still, UV light.
UV light, yes.
Yeah, but rays is also another way of putting it. There was a certain hole, and I'm forgetting where exactly it was. I can Google it and give you the details later, but there was a certain hole in the atmosphere, like literally a hole, a gaping hole that was allowing UV rays into the
because we had depleted the ozone layer.
Yes. But now, since they started taking those measures of reducing the CO2 emissions, that hole is slowly closing itself up. Now the ozone is healing itself back. So the problem here is we need to reduce the emissions, then figure out the other aspect.
Did you see that hole that you're speaking of?
No, I didn't, personally.
And you believe everything you're told?
Yes, I believe, because it was put out by scientists who are factual, who are respected in the community. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like who?
One of them is Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yes. And I'll when we go for that for that break,
and he's a specialist in this.
He's an astrophysicist. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And so he's the one.
He's not the authority on that matter, but he has collaborated with authorities on that issue.
All right. So you're saying that his evidence has been peer reviewed, and that there's this consensus.
Actually, he's not the one who did that research. Someone else did it, but he presented it to the public through several documentaries, and yes, it was peer reviewed for a fact.
All right. And so we are saying that during the COVID period, when there was almost zero manufacturing on the planet,
and zero airplanes flying in the sky.
Well, yeah, it was zero everything.
So emissions were really reduced.
Yes, it started there. So, but now they're claiming that these steps that have been taken are the ones. Yet it required something that you can call a natural catastrophe like COVID that actually forced us to change everything that we do.
Our way of life, yes.
Yes. And go back to an earlier life which was much simpler.
I think so.
To bring this about.
It didn't start with the COVID season. It actually started pre-COVID. That's why I said about 10, 20 years. I'll confirm that.
Don't worry. I'm mentioning COVID because the smog around countries like China and India and so forth.
There was a satellite image that was taken.
Yes, suddenly it cleared up. People who had not seen the sun, because if you go there, it looks like it is evening throughout. Yes, there's a sun, but you don't quite see it.
Yes.
During COVID, people started seeing the sun.
That thing disappeared, literally. You could see beyond 5 kilometers.
Yes, before you couldn't.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm going is because along this discussion, they will talk about things like wind power, solar power, so forth. Again, I go back to the manufacturing. By the time those wind, those blades that are supposed to generate the electricity through wind power, but they are blades.
Yeah, they are blades.
Yes. The process of manufacturing them, the process of moving them, the process of erecting them. Then we come to solar. Solar panels. You see where I'm going?
I got your point. Like the process of manufacturing, of course, it's effective. It will have, of course, a negative impact to the community, and of course, it will affect. But again, how big? You know, right now these things will be transported. Of course, the solar panels on this kind of blades you're talking about.
Yeah.
So when it comes here, the community or the populace, the people who are here, they will not feel the brunt of.
All right.
So
let me take this.
The effect might be reduced.
Let me land this thing for you.
Yeah.
Because I am doubting that when these things have lived their entire lifespan, you discard them. Where do you take them?
It's actually very difficult to recycle wind whatever turbines.
Where do you take these things? Or when batteries do their thing and they can no longer be batterized, what do you do with them? That's where we bring in landfills. And the problem with that, you are now bearing a problem that is going to affect more things than you care for. Our water resources, our soil, our food. I am simply painting a picture based on what I began by saying, and we'll continue this the next hour, having an honest conversation. Because a lot of the conversation that we have is generally influenced heavily by the commercial interests of these entities. An honest conversation about what really happens, so that you can actually know what honest steps you need to take about these things.
Yeah, you're very right. I think there's a book, I'll remember it, I don't know, I think I need to, there's a book that was written by Bill Gates on climate. I don't know what's the name, but I'll find out later.
Do not worry.
Yes, and he talked about the going from somewhere to zero emission, and in his book he was talking about how hard it is, like what it is talking about the other parties who are not honest about what they're doing, like, because if they're honest enough, we can have a zero emission by 2050. That's what he talks about in his book. Yes. And I think, yes, of course, we can never just wake up in one day and say that, hey, the whole world is now at zero emissions and there are no more pollutions. It really takes a lot of time, but of course what we can do is we just need to improve on what we can. That's what he said.
And I like that word, improve on what we have. And what we've had before was bad. It was really bad. Now we're improving on the technologies.
Innovations.
And the innovations, yes. Now, recycling these wind turbines by the CRIC, and because number one, they are non-biodegradable. Kabisa, you cannot degrade those things. You cannot burn them because now that's another problem altogether. And they're somewhere just piling up because they have a lifespan, and they have, at one point, they need to be taken care of. What is happening now that they are, and perhaps you've come across this. There is this bacteria that has been developed through genetically modifying already existing bacteria that can actually feed on plastics. I don't know if you're aware of that. I'll be telling you in a short while. We're taking a short break to get into the news. When we return, we'll tell you about this bacteria that actually eats plastic, in case you didn't know about it. All right, don't go too far. We'll be right back.
It's 9 o'clock.
This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Human rights activist and presidential aspirant Boniface Mwangi has been ordered to appear in Kibera law courts over comments he posted online regarding police conduct. The summons, which Mwangi shared on Thursday, requires him to appear on October 16th at 9 a.m. to respond to allegations linked to his social media post. The summon follows Mwangi's post on October 8th. After attending a hearing for a police assault case, he revealed that he has been accused of labeling a police officer corrupt, a claim he maintained, citing a report from the Anti-Corruption Commission. The construction of a multi-billion shilling commercial complex on government land in Naivasha has sparked outrage among residents and leaders. The residents who allege the land was irregularly acquired, they questioned why the property was allocated just 3 years after dozens of businesses were demolished on the same site over claims of encroaching on public land.
Hii mjengo inaendelea hapa, hakuna mtu wa Naivasha hata mmoja, kama vile mheshimiwa amesema, anajua ni nini na ni nani. Wale vijana wako hapa wanafanya kazi, hatujui wanatoka wapi. Hata sijui kama wanazingatia vile nini maneno ya mjengo inasema.
The president must tell Kenyans who is developing the Kenya Railways land in Naivasha town.
A man has told a Nairobi court how a woman he met for the first time at a club in Lavington allegedly stole 335,000 Kenyan shillings from him after a night out. The suspect, identified as Laura Odero, is accused of stealing the money from James Kiaritha. According to the charge sheet, the incident happened on March 15, 2025 at an apartment in Riverside, where she allegedly transferred the money from the complainant's mobile account after allegedly drugging him.
There was a lot of alcohol, number one, which was just on the table. And then I remember the living room was quite empty.
So it was empty. So which table was this if the living room was empty?
Funny.
Because
funny.
My question is,
there's a dining table literally on the right. There's a table there with bottles of whiskey that was there.
So you can remember all this?
Nope, that's the last memory I remember of that house.
What's the last memory you remember about that house?
Kenya African National Union leader Gideon Moi pulled out of the Baringo senatorial by-election scheduled for November, ending speculation about his candidacy just days after he announced his intention to run. The former senator confirmed his withdrawal on Thursday, leaving United Democratic Alliance candidate Vincent Chimetei as the main contender. KANU Secretary General George Wainaina confirmed that the party will not present candidate in the race, effectively giving UDA a clear path. Security forces in Madagascar have fired rubber bullets and tear gas to disperse the latest youth-led protest following 2 weeks of anti-government demonstrations that have rocked the Indian Ocean island. At least 1,000 protesters marched through Madagascar's capital on Thursday, some hurling objects at security personnel. The movement behind the protest, known as Gen Z Mada, rejected President Andry Rajolina's offer to attend talks on Wednesday, demanding once again that he resign. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
Radio Generation, the home views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
It is 5 minutes past 9 o'clock. Very good morning to you. Happy Mazingira Day. If you're just joining us, karibu tena sana. A big shout out to everyone who's tuned in, by the way. In case nimekusahau, wacha nione kama nitakupata hapa katika hii mambo yangu ya social media, nisalimie watu wawili watatu hapa. We do have Eunice Okelo, good morning. Nyaga Junior, Michael Olande, Kennedy Ongwae, there's Ambassador Zia Beja, King Dave Lubale, Ruel Karaoke. You're saying great radio, tuned in from London, Ontario, Canada. Mirajo ndo umetembea. Kuna place inaitwa London, Ontario, Canada.
Sijaisikia. I think Ontario is in Canada, right? And London is in the UK.
Ontario, maybe there's a place in Ontario, Canada called London.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Hapa kuna pale to London hapo Nakuru. There's a place called London, right?
Kuna London pia.
So yeah.
So
to clarify.
No, but at the end of the day, ametusalimia, anatusikiza. Whether in London, Ontario, Canada, we say a very good morning to you. Ambassador, nimekusalimia. Then there's King Dave, Gypsy Corner, Sonnet. And then we also do have Atticus Now. Atticus Now, very good morning to you. We have Abokas. Then there is Atiwen City, and many Kenyans talk about going to other countries. Haya, sawa. Chechi K. Kuna nani mwingine hapa hivi nataka nipatie salamu before to engage into the conversation. My Tech 2.0, how are you doing? Very good morning to you. Then we have 10 Wagude, good tech movie. Green hydrogen powered vehicles will be a revolutionary technology, and yes indeed, Ted. Then we have Morris Mutunga, and then Geoffrey Kanyugo. Carol Nyambura anasema tuned in and enjoying the conversation. Very good morning. Geoffrey Kanyugo, you're saying Paul has really delved deep into environmental matters. Well, I actually watch a lot of documentaries, and that's how I get to know about these things. Now, I promised you guys I'll talk about the ozone layer when we come back. I just want to read something quite
you said
short
that
here.
You're going to talk about the worm.
And the bacteria that eats bacteria, the plastics. So I'm going to talk about those two things very quickly. I'll just read this. There is the hole in the ozone layer, which refers to the severe annual thinning of the Earth's protective stratospheric ozone layer in the polar region. So iko juu na uko chini, especially over Antarctica, ambayo iko kule juu, during the spring months. Now the depletion caused by chemical reactions involving man-made pollutants like CFCs leads to increased ultraviolet radiation reaching the surface, posing risks to human health and ecosystems. The Montreal Protocol of 1987 successfully banned these ozone-depleting substances, leading to the ozone's layer ongoing recovery and protection. So the ozone had a hole, now recovering pole. Probably it will get there at one point. Now, as far as...
And who's giving us this information?
This is information from several sources, but we do have NASA being one of them, www.scientificamerican.com also, an article on ozone layer, and then we have the BBC, the European Environment Agency, that is EEA. So it's information compiled from those top websites.
So they are reporting on problems that they have caused for the rest of us on this planet.
Yeah, CFCs are walitengeneza sio sisi.
Okay.
Now on the plastic
and we are
eating
supposed
bacteria.
to trust that information.
If we trusted the whole, we're gonna trust this.
If you trusted it, I didn't.
City, it's actually a topic we can get into.
So
in depth.
I stopped talking and let
No. It's okay to ask the question.
I now stopped talking.
Yeah.
Continue what you're saying next.
Yeah, but no. On a serious note, you can check it out, and this is for everyone, not just City. Like, can actually check this out. Now, The bacteria that eats plastic inaitwa Idionella sacchenensis na kuna ingine pia. So plastic eating bacteria are microorganisms that have been discovered or engineered to break down plastics polymers for energy. The most well-known example is Idionella sacchenensis, which was found to degrade PET plastic bottles in Japan. Researchers are actively developing and modifying these organisms to create enzymes that can degrade plastics more quickly through current methods, though current methods are still in early stages. So what does this mean in the long run? That eventually we shall be able to break down plastics without hurting the environment, because if they're being consumed by microorganisms to produce energy within their own bodies, that means that in the environment we shall have reduced that risk of actually emitting CO2s, for example, either through burning or having to bury them somewhere in some ground city, called them landfills. So if the bacteria and the enzymes actually developed, we shall be extracting all these PET bottles, put them somewhere, dissolve them in these enzymes safely without hurting the environment. That is what this means if the development gets to those advanced stages that we hope it will.
You know, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's like a never-ending cycle where a problem is created. Then you look for a solution, which in some cases also creates another problem.
Yeah.
So you're always in this cycle.
Create a problem, find a solution.
Yes, and yet it's all in the name of advancement and development. But what perhaps in my mind is the most corrosive is not the advancement of technology, but it's the corrosive commercial interests. Because things that don't necessarily suit the purpose of their commercial interest will never be actually made public. That's why I began this discussion by saying an honest discussion. Honest. See, if I were to take a purely layman's perspective, you have all this industry that is creating pollutions, and you're saying that one of the things that you do when, for instance, you have an environment that is polluted, you need another environment that produces more oxygen. I'm putting it as simply.
Yeah.
And how do you create more oxygen? You plant more trees, blah, 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 and so forth, isn't it? Now, do you hear, beyond these stories of the push we now have for planting trees and what have you, of conversations that tell you and indicate that, one, countrywide, country by country, let us look at the fundamentals that we can adopt to help solve this problem in our country. Let's talk about not just tree cover. Let's talk about how it is we are going to deal with the built environment. One, we need houses for people to live in. What sort of materials are we going to use for these houses? Because there are materials which are more environmentally friendly than others. What sort of technology are we going to use? I'm simply giving that example to say, beyond planting trees, your bylaws, when you build a house of this nature, the amount of emissions that you are likely to actually introduce is this. So to counter it, what you perhaps need to consider are the following. That is an honest discussion. But when we have a Mazingira day, then all we're thinking is how many trees we want to plant, and then all these things. It is futile and time-wasting conversation because you don't make any progress. Okay? It's lipstick on a pig. It doesn't... Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Go ahead.
Please continue.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're making a very valid argument. And so my question would be, whose responsibility is it so that we just don't focus on trees?
No, it is ours.
Yeah. Because right now, State House President is currently somewhere talking about Mazingira.
Wachana na hii mambo ya president, please, because about there's one guy.
But you see now the reason
he's doing what he can.
The presidency is not just one guy. The presidency is
the backs of a team.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm saying forget that. Sahau hiyo kitu. Sahau, just put it aside.
Sahau, bro.
The reason I'm saying they've created a day. It's adequate. We have information that we can use to do our bit. Now they come in when you compare what they have with what you're doing and you say, now folks, we've understood and we've been doing this. Can we now add on to this? The reason I'm saying forget about it. The discussion now becomes government policy, government this, government this, government this. Baba, that's an echo chamber. Hatusongi.
You know, CT.
Yeah.
And I think in a way I both agree with you, and I'm really in a confused stage right now.
No. Make a stand. I'll make a stand.
You're a diplomat.
Yeah, I'm trying to be on both sides. But on a clear note, just to disrupt your argument, I think we cannot. There's no way that we can disinvolve the government. The government must be there.
They know what they're doing. I'm just saying, the discussion about what the government is doing, wachana hiyo. The discussion is so that the citizenry follow it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Kusikia argument yake.
No, I need to understand what I'm saying because he began by misunderstanding what I've said. So I'm clarifying.
Okay.
I'm not saying don't listen to the government. I'm saying we know the government wants. Wachana hiyo. Let's not have that discussion. Let's have a different discussion. Please now go on.
Yeah. So the discussion, I'll still again come back to the government involvement a bit because. You know, we are in a country that has rules, and has laws. Even if you come up with the most beautiful, innovative idea, at the end of the day, the people who will put it in writing and it becomes a policy or it becomes the way forward. Of course, it has to be from the government, not unless you live in a stateless kind of country. But I think, CT, there is no way you can ever find a solution in everything that you do. Like even for example, there's a book that I think it was written by the lady who died, the journalist she talked about UN, how the United Nations are using a lot of money in Somalia, and despite Somalia receiving billions and billions of dollar.
You're talking about Ras
Nawara. May her soul rest in peace. And I read that book, and it was spot on. She spoke about how despite the United Nations pumping in billions of dollars to Somalia, and yet Somalia still remains the same. There are no roads. Actually, I myself, I work in Mogadishu. There's only 2 roads, I think, main roads, which one is only used. The other one, even the people who work for the government or who work for the UN and these international organizations cannot go because, of course, it's the Al-Shabaab are in that side. So she was, in her book, she was arguing where is that money? It's not accounted for. And I'm trying to use that example to what CT had talked about, honest conversation. Sadly, we live in a political world where everyone takes side, and the majority, which is us, the citizens, wants the best. But apparently, we are being downplayed. We have no power to handle that because we don't have the tools of power. The farthest we can do is to criticize the government, but it depends on if the government is listening. But there's nothing that we can do. We might have the most innovative. I know a lot of guys, even in Europe or even here in Kenya, who have a lot of creative ideas on how to solve this problem. But is the government giving them the leeway to do these kind of things? We can discuss about that. So I think we will never find, and I'm a bit pessimistic on this part.
Okay.
We will never find a solution, not unless, now coming back to CT, have an honest conversation where we bring in all the stakeholders together and discuss what is the best that we can do. Okay. Can we put strict laws? For example, I'll use another example again. I do sometimes run in the city, Nairobi town mostly, and then we do have zebra crossing.
Yeah,
but those zebra crossing, no one adheres to it. The motorists, they just cross it. Yeah. So do we have strict rules where, for example, we fine people if you're found throwing a bottle, you'll be fined, let's say 20,000, for example, or something like that.
Hapo utafunga watu wengi.
Yeah, but at least it might have an impact in terms of protecting the environment. I remember even when I think Charity Ngilu was the Minister for Health, and then she introduced this idea of the smoking zone. It's effective up to now, where we have
designated smoking
zone areas. Why can't we do the same for environment? If today maybe Michuki could have been, who was the most active minister, if Michuki was around today, maybe you never know. Maybe today you'll find a bit of some discipline on the roads. So I think it's about also having an honest conversation, and also at the same time, it's about Kenyans taking a full responsibility on their environment, and knowing what is good and what is wrong. And should not wait for CT or Mirage or movie to tell them, hey, this is wrong, you should not do this.
It's interesting. You've mentioned this, and I've just remembered I was having a conversation yesterday with a couple of friends, and the conversation was around the building around Nairobi. tukazungumzia Kilimani, Kileleshwa, where we are having these very tall buildings that have been constructed, yet the infrastructure, the sewerage, for example, is unable to host this huge populations of people. And then someone in our conversation said, Hash is grown around Nairobi, and there was a river, I'm forgetting the name of this river that she mentioned, and it's not Nairobi River, but it's probably a tributary or a distributary of Nairobi River. They used to fish goldfish from that river, but nowadays that river is as black as tar. Tunajenga nao barabara. So I was like, wa. Yani kuna wakati tulikuwa na goldfish zina swim kwa river zetu za Nairobi. Na saizi hizo rivers zinakaa venye zinakaa na ni chafu na zinanuka, they just look, they're really ugly. Yeah. And I wish I saw that Nairobi. I honestly wish I saw that Nairobi when it was that beautiful. The county government of Nairobi obviously is being blamed heavily on some of these problems.
The governor of Nairobi is being blamed heavily.
The governor?
The governor.
Okay, that is now Sakaja.
Yes, because it comes under him.
Yeah.
And still, as you at your point, if you visit Nairobi, I was in Nairobi West yesterday. If you know Nairobi West very well, there's a fish market where Uchumi used to be, just opposite.
Yes.
And then if you just stand there, you can't even stand for a minute, stinking very bad. You know why? Because there are no kind of a garbage collection center where these vendors can put the waste. So they throw it on the sewer there. And you can't even just stand like this for a minute. So I asked the lady, why are you doing that? Why are you littering it here? Why don't you take it in a designated place? And she was like, serikali ya county yetuletea pale kutupa. We have no other option but kutupa hapa. So and that's why the buck stops with the governor. If the governor today, his team could have provided a trash can or somewhere where this fish
can be discarded.
Of course, we'll be having a lot of improvement. So I think the government is not playing a huge role also in ensuring that the business ladies or the business people have access to the trash can. So I think
this trash business in Nairobi, again, because of conversations I've had as a media personality, someone was telling me that it's a proper cartel whereby they even decide who is going to dump the trash at Dandora, the Dandora trash site. Yeah. And for me, nikajuliza, it's that bad. So all these trucks we see collecting garbage in Nairobi, apparently, and because I cannot verify this information, apparently they go and they pay X amount of money to be allowed to trash in Dandora. Hizi zenye zinachukwanga sewage Nairobi, the exhausters, also as they are taking that excrement somewhere, huko pia nasikia kuna mtu lazima uone za macho ndio uweze kumwage.
Sadly we have gatekeepers everywhere,
and here we have Mazingira Day.
We have Mazingira, and that's what I'm saying. We live in a very sad world. Even in the NGO sector, for example, if you want to provide humanitarian aid to a certain kind of community, you can't just come and say, hey, I'm providing food to a certain community, maybe a 5,000 household. You can't. There are certain kind of people that you have to talk to them first, the gatekeepers. The same, I'm not surprised that Dandora it has a gatekeeper and you must pass through that. And I think that's why all these kind of loopholes, and as I said before, is as a result of weak governance. If the government comes in and addresses these kind of issues, I don't think that you talked about the Nairobi River, not Nairobi River, but
there's a river. I'm forgetting the name of that river, but we had that conversation yesterday.
Exactly. So if you look at Nairobi River, I know one that passes near the Mata Hostel.
Yes.
Pale
chini kwele bridge before you get to Dar es Salaam Road.
Yes. You will see. Just look at who are the kind of people who live near the river. Mostly are slum dwellers who live around there. They don't have access to basic services. So what do you expect? They can't even afford to dig a pit latrine. Maybe
so they put their waste in the river.
Yeah, because there's serious unemployment. They don't have access to all these kind of basic necessities. And then there's a river flowing next to them. It's an opportunity for them. Of course, they will grab it. So I think it's also the government's responsibility to take care of the people itself, because you have people next to the river. Logics. You don't expect these people, if they're pressed, to walk for maybe 10 minutes. And again, of course, you have to pay for the toilets. I think nowadays.
Of course, yeah.
while they have a free river that's just passing next to them, I think they will just take advantage of it and use it. So I think the government needs to prioritize on what they're doing. Like right now, I know that President Ruto has constituted a commission. I don't know, it's called Nairobi River Commission or whatever.
Yes. It's tasked with cleaning that river.
I'm again pessimistic there. I don't think they will achieve it, because it's not unless you shift these people who are living next to the river and you give them habitable, a decent housing. Where
so it's about not just cleaning the river.
No, it's about the environment. We have mechanics. We have mechanics who are just next to the Nairobi River.
Yeah, from Grogon and wherever. Hata huko malumesema huko nini Dar es Salaam.
So these mechanics wakitengeneza gari, they have to throw the waste in the river. So I think, as City said, we need to have an honest conversation. The honest conversation starts with also talking to the people. Hey guys, we are having Nairobi River. We want to clean this river. We don't want to see within the perimeter maybe I don't know 100 meters or whatever near the river.
You know what?
Yes.
These mechanics that we are talking about, by it's not that they exist in a bubble.
Yeah.
They have their chairmen or chair ladies. They have their chairmans. Basically, they have their leadership that you can actually engage and talk about better ways of waste disposal. Mkimalizana na hizi chuma zenu mnatupanga wapi? Hizi oil mnatupanga kwa magari mnatupanga wapi? Hizi plastics zenye ziko na mafuta yenye mnaweka kwa
gari. That's what you're talking about, the honest conversation now.
So yes, and you see, if you actually sit down with these people, they'll actually give you solutions and tell you, look, us would like to throw these things in a certain way, but now the only thing that is hampering us is A, B, C, D.
Yes, and now that's why I'm saying, has the government, it might be yes or no, has the government taken an initiative to sit with these mechanics? It might be yes, it might be no. And I believe it's yes. Most likely they met and they discussed, and of course they took their thoughts.
So who's not implementing?
The government.
The government.
Yeah. I'll give you another example. And if you've been following up about Nairobi town, the city, CBD,
right?
There's a time they say the county government said there will be no more border borders in CBD. It's here.
Oh, okay. You have another one.
They say there will be no border borders in CBD.
Yes.
But guess what? Today in Nairobi city, CBD, we have border borders everywhere. Have you ever asked yourself why? I had a conversation with one border guy and told me it's about just talking to the kanjo. You pay a certain amount of money, no one will arrest you.
Yeah.
So I think it goes back again to corruption, the level of corruption.
Yeah.
There's no one who is honest to take up this country in terms of protecting its dignity. If we have a serious government that is a bit more, as you talked about, like Kigali, that implements, and at the same time citizens seeing it. Of course, everyone is ready, and I think Nairobians are people who love a clean city. No, I am sure you know that. But even the cobros that I think was put there, you see people are enjoying it and they're just using it very well on the pathways. So it's about the government coming in and coming up with an initiative, and the Nairobians are ready to follow it.
True.
But I think the government is not honest also.
You know, a funny thing is, if you go to Runda, Karen, you know, those places are usually very clean. How to makarasi chini. So even you, when you're walking there, you will feel very weird dropping that bottle top or bottle or even paper in Runda. Why? Because you
found it there.
Uta feel too odd. Utasema hii place ni safi sana. How do I even drop this thing in this particular place?
Yes.
And so because of the environment you find yourself in, you will actually not do this thing.
Yes.
But now go to Kibra, go to Kawangware and all the other vitongoji duni.
Yes.
Because of the trash you see on the ground, sasa umemalizana hii bottle na shanga, sasa nitembea nao mpaka Malenda and I can see 10 bottles on the floor.
Yes.
Surely. See, hata mimi niachilie tu yangu hapa, life iendelee. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because why is it that people in Runda or Karen, you know, those affluent areas will keep the environment clean? It is because they have accustomed themselves and they have taught themselves to actually maintain that cleanliness. And that is why when you get there, it's very difficult for you to drop a bottle. If you go to any hotel here in Kenya, Nairobi, sorry, a big hotel, like say even wanaitwa nani hawa, Kempinski, hautaenda pale hivyo ukishararua zile machakula na kupatia utupe topo kwa floor. Why? Because the floor is clean. I think, and I agree with you, that we need to have a conversation as to how we're going to take care of this environment, because huyu mtu wa Kibera mwenye ameenda Kitusuru na hata achilia karatasi is the same one mwenye akiwa Kibra ataachilia karatasi.
Yes.
Yeah, so that one definitely needs to be.
That's what City talked about. City, you want to say something on that?
You know, the Nairobi River has 6 distributaries. I mean, most people don't even know. If you count Nairobi River, it's actually 7. There's Madare, there's Ngong, there's Madari, there's Mutoine. All there's Riara,
yes,
Garaduru, all these are distributors. But when you don't know that these were rivers. You'll just think it's water flowing through some gutter. Okay? These rivers, indeed, those who study here from the days of primary will tell you that they actually used to fish on those rivers. It's actually true. But look at the process that we went through to get to where we are, where the river by its very nature is polluted. We talk about Michuki because what it did was fantastic. The river started regaining its old self again. Now, when we have an entire ecosystem within which mediocrity thrives,
yeah, I agree.
Where you have people who are elected as governors and they, despite their best efforts, have no capacity whatsoever to actually run the county as it is required. Because the mediocrity is shown in the people they surround themselves with, the people they employ to help them with the county. Those, everything that then happens will follow a certain trajectory.
Yeah.
And it's a downward spiral.
Yeah.
Because you would assume if you have a built sector within the county, any county, you would have a conversation with the planners. And they would tell you this is what we need to do. So the infrastructure for what you're trying to build would be in place. Ours were doing the reverse. You put up a building, then think of the infrastructure. How? I still remember how certain place I lived in, when these high rises started coming up, before somebody did something about it, my friend, the power cuts. Because where there was one house with one family, you now have a unit that has 100 people.
Yes.
And they all consume electricity. And the infrastructure of electricity is the same. Yes. What do you think is going to happen? In fact, you knew in the daytime it would be fine. The moment it gets to 7, I had a conversation with someone who works for Kenya Power. He said, at 7, people watch his news. So the use of electricity or the power surges, and the system cannot
handle.
It shuts off. Water became a problem. Okay? So I'm simply saying that when you have a situation where you know what needs to be done for you to have this development, there are some complementary processes that you must have, and then you do the complete opposite. When I say you don't have capacity, it's not an insult. I'm just stating what is clear. Because if you had the capacity, then you'd have done what needed to be done. But look at what we are doing by creating this bandit economy that we have.
Yeah.
Where everybody within the ecosystem, what we call our economy, looks for shortcuts, looks for illegal ways of doing business. Water supply becomes a completely different business when our water bowsers are your main supply of water. But we have enough water in the country to supply people with it through all these water bodies we have across the country.
Yes.
But the water bowser business is a big business.
So you have to create a problem so that you can give opportunity to other people.
Why that water bowser situation?
Yes. Why can't we just drink water from the taps? I grew up when we were drinking water from the taps.
Me too.
Yes.
Me too.
Why must we now buy water? You see, now it's been normalized, and you dare not touch that issue of water, because if you produce water, by all means produce.
Bro, it's a business.
It's not a business. It's a big business.
It's an empire.
Yes. Why don't you just let me decide whether I want to drink water from my tap or buy your water? I don't have that choice. I don't have a choice. And then some of the people who sell water allegedly simply use tap water and they sell it to you as a distilled water or pure water or whatever. It was pure from the tap. But we had a time in this Nairobi city before the county governments. There was an individual who actually sold. The thinking and the understanding was he was selling chlorine. He sold chalk. It was the same color. No, the person was arrested and actually went to court and was even jailed. I'm not making this thing up. So here you have water supply for an entire.
Where is that place that you lived?
Watu kama wanafaa kunyongwa.
City you've seen, Ujionea.
And then do you really think that it is accidental that all these vehicles that collect trash, those vehicles shouldn't even be on the road?
Yeah.
They are some of the most tired vehicles you can actually ever lay your eyes on. In fact, when you drive behind them, you actually feel, this load is
smell.
Yes. And then some of it starts dropping off.
Dropping off on the road.
You think it's accidental? Are you telling me that the county could not think and plan to actually invest in modern vehicles?
Yes.
That when they collect trash, there's a way they even process the trash as they're going. They can. Why? Because we had them. We've had them in the past.
Actually, yes. When you watch a lot of documentaries from the West, you'll actually see in the 80s they had trucks that, as they collect the trash, they actually compact it vizuri na pakiwa by the time inafika destination inatupa vizuri.
We had them in this country.
Or even here we had them.
Yes, I'm trying to tell you, we had them. And we had bins, which every week they would come and collect the garbage, and these trucks would follow streets. Are you telling me that now, with all the advancement we have, that what we can do is regress?
Someone saw an opportunity, a business opportunity.
No, somebody created the opportunity.
Yes.
A service that had been provided was killed so that you can create this opportunity. So when you say garbage, it is a multi-billion shilling business. Do you know how many people have come up with solutions for collecting baggage in the city, and have even presented papers and presented ways in which of doing it? It falls on deaf ears. Because the bandit economy that exists within our county governments across the country, not in the city of Nairobi alone, doesn't allow for it. And at some level, I can't even blame the governors to a degree. Because you get into that seat, the people who control this enterprise will visit you.
Miraj, you've been to Switzerland. How did they take care of the trash?
You see, what I just want to give first of all about the comments that City said, talking about. We have the untouchables, and it's a sad thing that it's here with us. You can't bring those kind of things that are a bit more innovative, because the mafias, of course, will hunt you down.
There
are people who own this country, and you can't even say anything. And if you just put your heads up, the next week utasemekana umeta umekosekana. So I think it's really hard dealing with the untouchables, and I agree with you, TT. But just to answer your question about how maybe you asked me about Switzerland. I think Switzerland, what they do is in each kind of they have an address, like every town, like maybe the place that we live it's called a route. You have a system in place where you're given a key, a store, it's like a store. So in that kind of an apartment, they dedicated an entire room where all the inhabitants of that apartment are supposed to put their trash in.
Okay.
So every week, maybe on a Thursday, there's a big trash can that comes. It collects everything there. So, and on the street, they have assembled different kind of trash cans. So there's one for the bottle, there's one for the paper, there's one for even the beer cans, there's one for the plastic bottles. It's clearly written.
And for
it's marked. It's marked, and it has different kind of colors, so you can even know. Hii ni ya chupa. This is for the bottles. It's clearly written there on the trash can. So, and it's accessible on every street that you pass up. So that's why even on the street you can't even see just a piece of paper. Then what happens is the thing that I've noticed, I think I only saw it once, to see a big kind of a garbage truck on the street. I have never seen it.
This is now Switzerland.
In Switzerland. I think they have a designated also time to collect, to respect the environment when people are crossing, because it's of course smells and it's not good for the people. So I think they have a time that they usually come and pick those stuff. Because I've never seen it. I only met them once, and I think that time I was going somewhere, then I saw them collecting those kind of things. But I've never even seen them collecting.
Actually, yesterday we were with Jimmy Wanjigi here, leader Safina Party, and he reminded me of something that I had watched in a documentary some time back. That even flushing the toilet, kuna wakati Switzerland, you can't flush your toilet.
You can't flush your toilet, I think, past 10 p.m.
10
p.m. If you flush your toilet, next morning you have a fine. You have a warning kind of thing sticked on your door. Then you're told you're supposed to report at the canton office. When you go there, then they give you the charge sheet. They tell you that this is neighbors complain about you, that you've been flushing the toilet. You should reduce the noise because it causes noise pollution. So then you just have to maybe buy something that does not even produce more noise.
Remember, those are places where streets are washed at night
with clean water.
Washed
with clean water.
With clean water.
Washed.
Inaoshwa na detergent
like
inasafishwa. So ukiamka asubuhi hakuna harufu mbaya, it's clean.
So when we are seeing people washing streets here for Prophet Award, tusishtuke.
No. That one, I don't know. That's a different thing.
No, but I think, but yeah, in Switzerland they actually wash the streets.
They wash the streets.
I think Switzerland is not the only place where they wash streets, my friend.
I know it happens in Japan.
In most of the countries, in a movie, let me tell you, Nairobi, and I keep on telling you, the city has traveled a lot. Nairobi, they how people perceive us when you go out. You can even cry in terms of patriotism. People love the city.
Yeah.
They believe Nairobi is a beautiful city. Yeah. Actually, it's the headquarters for UNEP, That we're talking about Mazingira Day.
Imagine.
The United Nations Environment Program's main office is here. So we should be the example to the world that Nairobi is a clean city. Nairobi is the home, is the city for the best in terms of environment. But sadly, no, we haven't reached there.
Yeah.
And it's actually possible to make it that way. And by getting the rightful people, we Kenyans sometimes we don't like to hire the experts. We have a lot of young innovators who have really studied on the architecture of coming up with a clear design on how to beautify this city. We have urban designers, we have people who know all this kind of stuff. But do you want to approach them and give them the task? No. So we want to have that the kind of the status quo still remain with us. And I think by changing the status quo, that's where the conversation begins. I think we want to stay the way we are. We don't want to have any kind of changes. And I think Kenyans are a bit more political. I think we consume a lot of politics. Because every time that if you watch the TV, it's about how can we, it's about 1 term and 2 term and how to remove Sakaja. We are not actually having a conversation on it's not about who is going to be the governor, because Nairobi is a county and it must have a governor. So that should not be the discussion. The discussion is Nairobi, who can we choose as a governor who takes care of the environment, who takes care of the people, who takes care of the city that inhabits. I don't know how many people do you have in Nairobi. I think almost more than
about 5 million.
About 5 million,
and then the additional that come every morning and they leave.
Yeah, and again, no one is also talking about the climate. We have climate immobility and climate mobility also, where we have a lot of the rural to urban migration. Most people think that a lot of people are also migrating from the rural side because of seeking employment, but no, there are a lot of people who have maybe been swept by floods in neighboring place within Nairobi, and then they just find themselves here in Nairobi. So these are also people who have been affected by floods as a result of the effect of the climate change.
If we had allowed the government to continue with that thing we keep on talking about, affordable housing, we perhaps could have seen estates being developed outside Nairobi, heading towards Tala, Machakos County, side ya Mombasa Road, Waiyaki Way going into Kinoki, Kikuyu, and beyond. Because I think at one point it's like that plan stopped, and that's why now we are seeing people struggling to put up all these huge establishments, apartments in places where there shouldn't be. And then of course, let's not forget this whole issue of rural urban migration.
That conversation is a lot more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Remember one of the things that these Bretton Woods institutions insist on, they strive for you to do away with what they call big government. So the role of government in nurturing and the welfare of their people beyond a certain level is actually discouraged. They focus more on private entities doing the business. National Housing Corporation did precisely the thing you're saying. In urban centers around the country, what were then provincial headquarters, their estates. Those estates were actually built by National Housing. And over time, one of the things that they would look at is environmentally safety materials to put up these houses. They did it. And that's why you have all these estates that you say are in Eastlands. Look at any former provincial headquarters, you will find estates the government built. Structural adjustment did away with all that. Okay? Now, then came in the concept of the public-private partnerships. Okay? We've had them, where people are willing to put up the money with the local authorities, and the understanding is you provide the land. So now this is what happens. You make money from the existing estates. If the estate has, say, 5 acres, like, say, Pangani, and Pangani had 48 people living there, 5 acres is enough for you to put up a unit where probably 2,000 people are going to live. All these units will pay you some sort of fee because they're in the county. everything about those 5 acres increase in terms of people who live there, the services they will require, everything changes. Okay? Now, when that process is interfered with, and the interference begins with the county government and this bandit economy, as I'm calling it, that exists. So the developer understands what they need to do and they plan for it. That plan is going to fall by the wayside because just the amount of kickbacks that you are mandated, not requested, mandated to give for every process that you go through, it'll kill the enterprise. And in many instances, like say Nairobi, what now further killed it was you're importing a lot of materials for this building, then COVID comes, manufacturing goes down, prices go haywire. That project is dead. Because whatever you had planned, and that plan could have worked if all this interference, because at every stage there's a toll station. Planning, there's a toll station. God knows who there's a toll station at every stage. Approving the plan. It's an absolute nightmare. And these are things that was going to benefit the county directly. The private investor gains because of the units you build, call it the economies of scale. They can then sell and make their money. But the county gained something that they didn't have before. There are many initiatives that are started in such a manner and they die. Not because the young people are willing to do business, but it's because of the processes. You try and put up a house and see a house. It is an absolute nightmare. Now, the nightmare is caused by the people who are charged with the responsibility of enhancing growth. But they're the ones with the bottleneck. So what do you expect will happen? And then now, it has become normal. You do business with the county government. For you to get paid, my friend, you'll shed tears of blood.
Yes, especially if you get a contract from county government. You'll even regret why you took that initiative.
You'll shed tears of blood.
There is a comment here by Sonnet. Sonnet is saying the residents of the county should agitate for a clean environment, poor management and planning. Then we have Kyle Shutter, our previous guest, is saying Europe has separation at source, but in Kenya there are people who separate for a livelihood in Dandora. And you see that's true, because again, documentaries have shown this. Personally, I haven't been there. You find there are people who actually sleep on the trash day in, day out, whether it's raining, whether the sun is shining.
Have a very robust immune system.
Yes. Someone is sleeping on the trash, na hawezi mtoa hapo. Because when he wakes up, he will wake up, he will go to that trash and now start separating the plastics, the organics, the beer bottles that you were talking about and everything else, and then from that particular activity, that's an economic activity by itself, because there's something he or she is getting out of it. Then of course the cartels we were talking about, the ones that agree, or rather the ones who will give you the permit to either
gatekeepers,
the gatekeepers dump trash there or not. Then there's someone else who's coming now to get the gold from the trash. It's just one of those things, my friend. It's not going anywhere.
It's an entire business ecosystem. So you'll find, if you go towards the Ruta, you'll find that trash which is supposed to go to supposedly this is just dumped on the side of the road. So the road just keeps narrowing and narrowing and narrowing. Look, what I'm referring to as a bandit economy, we are seeing it in this country as a growth industry that is in full bloom. And human beings being who they are, for purpose of survival, we adjust. So you keep lowering your standards because you're adjusting. You don't want to ruffle too many feathers, you don't want to complain too much. So so all you do is say, okay, Kindimbaya, and then you finish that statement, and that's the end of that story.
Right.
Yes. We adjust, and then you get used to things that ordinarily you should actually not get used to.
No, you're right. You know, one thing that I came to realize is about myself as a responsible citizen. I tend not to be political, and because I understand that we have a lot of other, as Sitia said, the bandits, and trying to fight them. Of course, you will never win over them. But what I always rely on mostly, that I always believe as an optimist Kenyan, is I believe if you have the rightful kind of policy in place, and the Nairobi County, for example, we were talking about Nairobi. Let's say we're not talking about other cities in Kenya, like Eldoret or Mombasa, Kisumu. Because if Nairobi is not behaving, of course, what do you expect from other cities in Kenya to do? I believe, because I was in Mombasa, I was in Kisumu and Eldoret, they are not that much better as compared to Nairobi, because Nairobi, I think, is a bit more overpopulated, and everyone, Nairobi is like the mother of all other towns in Kenya. If Nairobi behaves, I think even other counties within Kenya will take a bit of some lesson and also improve on their side. But I think the government must act on this kind of goons and cartels that are always taking advantage.
What if they are part of the goons and the cartels?
Now that's the problem. Now you see that is to shuffle out these kind of things.
Right.
It's really hard. But I think coming back again to what CT said about the honest conversation, I think if the government really wants the best for this country, it will not even take a year. I believe it can even take 2 days or 3 days just to come up with a clear policy and get the rightful people. And then, of course, we'll see, the green Nairobi that we always used to know. You talked about the goldfish in Nairobi River.
Yeah.
All these things are possible if the government, through the collaboration with the county government of Nairobi, comes up with the rightful plan.
Yeah.
And I think also the citizens or the electors in Nairobi also play a huge role. I'm not criticizing Governor Sonko, but there's a time I saw Sonko at Unga, this is the governor of Nairobi, and he's wearing bling, and he's attending one of the most prestigious places in the world, in New York. So I think also the electors have to be serious on who they're electing. Sometimes, and it's not about having a PhD or going to the best school, but who are the rightful kind of governors that we have? Kenyans have praised previous governors, like we had Kivuda Kibwana of Makweri, who has done extraordinary work in Makweri County, and right now he's teaching, I think, at Daystar.
Yeah,
we have people who have gone to school and are highly educated and have done best for their county, and we have people who are crazy and they have done also best for the county. I think we need to get the rightful kind of people to handle.
Let me ask you, Miraj.
Yes.
We keep having this discussion here about the qualities of a leader.
Yes.
But let me ask, what responsibility do we as citizens have to hold our leaders to account? This is what I always ask.
Yeah.
Because the power that comes with the office of a governor can corrupt anybody. Certain qualities, there are people who can weather that storm. They are.
Yeah.
But the vast majority can't.
Exactly, and that's why I'll take it to two. Like, for example, in some democracy, mostly in Kenya, like in central Kenya and in I think Rift Valley and Nyanza, should I say, or in western part of Kenya, it's more of party. Like I was just reading the news yesterday on the nomination of an MP who is vying in Kasipul Kabondo, I don't know, on an ODM ticket.
Right.
But the citizens also maybe wanted another guy, but he was not given access to. He never won the party whatever nomination. So I think in Kenya, I'll put it in Kenya. In Kenya, it's not about the personality; it's about the party. In some parts of the country, even in 1992, was it in Matiba when it was DP, I think.
Yeah.
If you just get the party of DP.
No, Matiba was in Fodasili.
Sorry, Fodasili. But who was in
DP? Was Kibaki.
Kibaki, sorry, yes, Kibaki. And if you just win the party of DP, you don't even need.
You're guaranteed.
You become already an MP, even if you're a bandit, as the city said. So I think shuffling out these kind of things in Kenya, we haven't yet reached there. In the US or in the first world, it's not about the most. Right now in the US, we only have the Democrats and Republicans, but in European aspect, it's about the personality. Who is this person? Who is he? Who is moving?
The US has very many political parties.
It has, but yeah,
the dominant ones.
The dominant ones are mostly the Republicans.
I mean, like for instance, the UK. You have the Conservatives,
the Labour,
and then there were Liberals. But now they've sort of like gone down.
Yeah. So my point was, like in Northeastern, I'm coming to the point now. Like right now in Northeastern Kenya, it's not about the party. It's about the elder just picking up any person that whom he thinks like.
Thank you. Now tell me, what do the elders look for? Because there must be some quality.
You're putting me on the spot.
Yes, I am.
They're just looking for bahali yake.
No, that's
what do the elders look for?
That's what I'm saying. Like right now, in the leadership of this negotiated kind of democracy, especially in northeastern part of Kenya, it's not about a leader. It's about who jamaa anashikanga simu yetu. When there's a problem, when we call him, he picks our call. And
that's a good thing.
Yeah, but it's compromised.
So ni mtu ambaye amewajibika.
Amewajibika kwa wazee.
Okay.
But the people, I am sure, do not want this guy. But what they do because these elders are the ones who are a bit more powerful than even these politicians. Then they select this kind of a person, they take it to the community, and the community say, hey, X and X Tosha, and then you just find himself there in parliament. And I think that's the problem that we need as a societal problem that we have, is the citizens have been compromised.
Yeah.
And in that part, and I talked about this before, it's mostly something to do with unemployment. If you have an educated society who have enough in their pockets, they can make a great decision.
Okay.
Nairobians right now are mostly used to handouts, and it's not their choice because they don't have it. But if we could have find all these kind of young generations in Nairobi County, for example, fully equipped, taking advantage of their knowledge, getting a decent kind of employment, I don't think there's any politician who can influence them in a bad way.
Yeah.
They can take a kind of a well-informed kind of a decisions and choose the rightful governor. But right now, what we have in Nairobi, not unless things change. What we're talking about right now, the
bandit economy,
it will keep on coming because we still have a loophole. And these politicians, by the way, they play with their weakness. They understand that si hao ni wala watu tu wako na njaa, wanahitaji chakula, wanahitaji, and they are taking advantage of the weaknesses. And the weakness that we have here, it is them who have created it. They don't want to solve that kind of a weakness, which is unemployment, because once they create it, I remember one time a friend of mine wanted to contest for a member of parliament somewhere, and the community, they use all other kind of means to ensure that this guy doesn't even come near the ballot.
Why?
Because he's educated, he has a lot of youth support and blah blah blah. They made sure that they closed every loophole that it's possible to ensure that this guy doesn't come. And then they convinced him that because he's jobless.
Yeah.
Then they came to him and told him, hey, ukona nini? I have masters. We'll give you a job. And then the young man was convinced.
Was he given the job?
He wasn't given the job.
But he lost the election.
He lost the election, and he wasn't given the job. These politicians know how to play the game. And that's why when TT talked about having an honest conversation, the honest conversation must also have an end.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't have an end,
we can't talk. Yeah, we can't just have an endless conversation,
and it will never. We'll never arrive to a solution.
So way forward, as we come to a close, as far as this conversation is concerned, we have about 3 minutes. Way forward, Mazingira Day. Here we are. We need to take care of our environment, and the one thing that we know for a fact, Kenyans know their responsibilities. As much as we're saying we inculcate this into our what is it called, our curriculum in schools, we know we're supposed to plant trees. We know we don't have to wait for Mazingira Day to be told, hey, don't drop papers in the streets. We know as mechanics where we need to be dumping our trash once we are done fixing vehicles. We know all these things. We know we're supposed to be separating trash at source, like Kyle was telling us. We know for a fact these things, because in your own house you won't dump, but pale nje you'll dump. So we know. How do we move forward then?
That's a very hard question. Like changing the perception of a grown-up, it's really hard. I think we need to we just need to make it easier and understand that we have a problem and take it down and trying to be responsible. That's the only way I can answer, because it's really hard to convince a grown-up. You can convince a young man.
Miraj, we have 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
People talk about the miracle of China and what China has done in 47 years, from Deng's time until now.
Yeah.
We have our own grown miracles that we never look at. How do you explain how a community that was known to be camel herders didn't do any agriculture, or not involved in any business you can speak of, small businesses here and there? How did they grow to become a powerhouse in the construction industry, in the commercial industry, in the banking industry, in almost every sector in the country? I'm talking about the Kenyan Somali. How did they do that? Because I'm referring to a reality. It is not something I am making up my mind. It is something that if you travel across this country, how did they do it? Because they have done it.
Something to do with unity, should I say? I think unity is the purpose, and trust. And also respect. I'll use those 3 values.
Sana hapo kwa trust.
Kwa trust. Trust, city is the most important thing. If I don't trust you, there's nothing that we can do together. I think using the example of a Somali, maybe as perspective, is about you trusting city. Like city, you really know that city will deliver. And I think that's what we can borrow as Kenyans. that we really need. Even the issue of zakah, if you know zakah, like the idea of giving out charity was not just to give you a handout so that you can just eat it for today. The idea of zakah was to uplift a young man who is struggling so that at least he can be here. Then when this guy becomes successful, he will have to pay also zakah to another poor person so that he can come up. And then we'll have a society that is doing very well. So I think trust and helping each other, and also I think also respecting the values of the country.
And learning how to pool resources
and
together.
Learning how to pull, yes.
It can't work if there's no trust.
Yes.
Because
pulling out the resources together.
Treasurer.
Yeah.
Let me read something from the president as we exit. It's on Mazingira Day. President Ruto said, Mazingira Day is much more profound than just simply planting trees. It's connected to food security. It's connected to exports of our products, job creation, wealth creation, and making sure that we move Kenya from a third world country to a first world country. Like I said, we know. It's not that we don't know. We know. Thank you so much, Miraj, for coming through. We do appreciate you taking your time, especially on a holiday such as this one. Give a big shout out to Biliki and the foundation. We truly appreciate what you're doing for your community.
Thank you so much. As the Biliki Foundation, today, actually, we're planting trees at Kongoni Primary School. We're planting actually fruit trees, mangoes, pawpaws. The idea is to keep the student in school. It's of course nutritious, and I'm sure that once this plant grows, of course they will take advantage of it. And of course we're also preserving the environment. So if you are in South Sea, come to Kongoni Primary School and be part.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Monday. Sema kwaheri City.
Kwaheri.
All right.
Radio Generation.